that might be a reason why you want to go on. Maybe what you want to do is say, we're going to solve this farm problem. We're not going to go to the farms. We're going to stay here and figure out why the goblins are doing what they're doing. So if you're in a more heroic mindset, that may be your motivation. Again, you just sort of pick your own motivation as you go. The third possibility is you just want treasure. You want to get better. You are an extraordinary person. I said this in the intro, but it really bears repeating. Each of you, you're sort of like that super athlete that you might have known in school that they pick up a sport and they instantly are better at that sport than everybody else as if they've played it for years, right? Or someone picks up chess or picks up the piano or picks up math and they're instantly they learn so quickly. They have a natural gift. You each are a very gifted individual. So you probably have been growing up feeling kind of different and extraordinary in some sort of way. You learn very fast. You also are very tough. There are times when you've gotten hurt. Maybe you've gotten into a fight. Maybe you've had little adventures. You've killed rats, or maybe you've even fought a goblin, right? The next morning, you're okay. Like somehow, what would take other people days to recover from their wounds, you, even without the aid of magic, you tend to wake up feeling okay. So you're extraordinarily tough. You have this sense that the more that you fight, the more you adventure, the more things you find out, your toughness is going to go up. You've heard legendary stories of heroes, people like what we call like Achilles or Hercules or Xena, right? These people, they're just extraordinary and they get stronger as they go. You wonder if maybe you're one of those type of people. Every once in a while the world produces people who gain these sort of abilities. This is what I mean by leveling up, by the way. So you're now level 1, but you're well on your way to level 2. And as you might have read ahead, you get more powerful as you go until you get extraordinarily powerful. Even within a few days' time, you might become much more powerful. That's not ordinary. That's not what most people in the world do. So you're special. Maybe that specialness is what's motivating you now. Like you know that if you get out there, mix it up, put your life in danger, explore and get new mysteries, you will have a good chance of getting more powerful and see what you're actually made of. So maybe that's your motivation. So that's a good sort of summary for what brings you here. This list will get longer. As you get more entangled in the world, you have more reasons to go on. This is where I put that in, because I'm weaving this story together as we go. Another thing for the recap, I start play at 6 o'clock, so I'm going to talk about some other stuff in recap. I'm going to recap some of the things that happened in the intro, but I'll do a short version, because of course you're at the introduction show. For those of you watching on the stream, that's a previous stream that you can see. So that's where I introduce the whole concept of where you came from. But here's a few things that you might want to think about. You maybe have a chance to think about your characters a bit more. So first of all is where you might have come from. The journey, you probably are from somewhere in, at least most recently, in a place called Nentir Valley, which is to the west. So as I gesture, imagine we're in a big holodeck here, and that way is north. So right now, you're in a cave, so you look around, you have a bag on your head, there's nothing to see. But if you were to go outside, you'd be able to look to the west, and you'd see very high snowy mountains way off to the west. You might even be able to see like there's kind of a vertical sort of ice cliff at the bottom of those mountains. Well, that's where you came from. You came from the west. You came over those mountains. So if you were breathing the fresh air of freedom, you'd be looking over there and thinking, I wish I were back in Nentir Valley, or I wonder what's happening back home, or the last place I was. Your carriage came over those mountains. So you're now in what's called Timberway Valley. You know that Timberway Valley is kind of a north-south, fairly narrow thing, and has a river running down through it. That was the river that you're going to cross. You're going to cross that river, go over the bridge, and live at a farm near that river. That river's nowhere nearby. You're far south of all that. You know the ocean is off to the east and to the south. When you first came into this valley, you had a very high view. You're at a big mountain peak, and you're able to look. Now in the holodeck, let's imagine we're at the top of that mountain when you're in that carriage, and you're looking this way to the east. You can see the whole sweep of Timberway Valley. The river started up there at the north, and then takes this big bend and heads out straight east. And right where that river is at its sharpest point bend, you saw that bridge. That was the bridge you're supposed to cross, and you see maybe like these cleared out squares, these green squares amongst the forest, and you think, those are the farms. So you had a brief glimpse of where you were going. Then you headed down into the valley, and that's where your trouble started with the kobolds. So Timberway Valley is where you are now, but you probably came from Nentir Valley. And there's a couple possibilities. You can write your origin story as you go. It's not necessary to write an origin story at all. You certainly don't have to have it now. We can talk, especially if you come in early, we can work on your backstory a bit, and you can get more connected to the world, and that's something that thrills people. But one of the most likely things that you came from the big city, Fallcrest, which I mentioned. So you could be a sort of an urban type, poor or rich. They have lots of both in Fallcrest. The carriage went past some farmlands, but farmlands close to a city, so fairly civilized. Maybe the suburbs of Fallcrest. You might be from the equivalent of a medieval suburb. That may be where you got on. There's Lake Nen, This was completely natural because the elves and halflings there, they like to live very close to the land, and the elves are very much against cutting down trees in order to make homes. So their homes are in the trees. So you, if you're an elf, or even if you're a human or a halfling or anything, or a dwarf, you could have come from there. But a lot of halflings and elves come from there, an unspoiled lake with a lot of thick forest. The carriage continued and it went up into the mountains. It went over this waterfall, this gigantic waterfall that was the head of the river that runs through. It's called the Nentir River. Not very imaginative geography naming around here. Nentir Valley has the Nentir River flowing through it. You went up into the mountains. The Nentir River was plummeting in a waterfall. That's where you spent that night at Falling Water Inn, if you might recall. So this is before your adventure really started and you started rolling dice. You stayed overnight there. You met some of the local denizens of this area, and they are quite rough. So if you came from this area, maybe you got on the carriage, at Falling Water Inn, which means maybe you come from a survival town, a trapping town. Maybe you're a miner and you're a mining village. A lot of little things. You might be an outlaw. It's great to hide up in the mountains, go down to Fallcrest, do some crime, and run back up to the mountains. To get away from the arm of the law. Nentir Valley has got quite a bit of civilization. They've got. The whole place has been set back. Well, you'll learn about the history, but the whole place is kind of recovering from the invasion of these goblins. The orcs also invaded at the same time, so the whole place is on the back foot, frankly. But Nentir Valley had more civilization. This all may bear, whatever you got on, it might bear why are you in Timberway Valley. So why did you leave Nentir Valley? Maybe you're just passing through Nentir, but still, what caused you to get there? Few possibilities. That call to adventure that I just talked about, that may be it. You just know there's treasure and there's a way to level up and get more powerful if you go over there. That's very viable. It could be that, you just wanted to start a really nice big farm and you're kind of poor. That land is cheap out there. You're an entrepreneur of some sort. You decided you're going to start a shop or a farm out that way. Maybe that was your motivation. Maybe you're running away from something. Maybe you've got a terrible family you wanted to get away from. Maybe there's a religious cult that is chasing after you, that you were raised in a particular way and now you've gone against whatever kind of cult or culture you're in, and you know that you're a marked person. So you had to flee to Timberway Valley where you knew they couldn't find you. Maybe you're in trouble with the law, that if you did something bad enough, or if you're associated with a bad family, there might be a corrupt sheriff or something that's after you. You can make up any reason that you like. You don't have to decide it, but start to paint this in your head about what caused you to pick up and move. But in any case, here you are. So I won't recap all that stuff that happened on the journey. You remember rolling a lot of dice, you remember the giant baby and all that stuff. A few things that might be of interest because there'll be echoes that you come back to. This world's full of mysteries and you might want to pursue these. So I'll give you some free pointers to have all the stuff that I mentioned, some of the stuff you're most likely to maybe see a reference to. There's that person in silver, very fancy silver armor, very rich looking armor, who looked very crazy. They had a charred rectangle over their eyes because they had the silver visor on their face that they pushed up onto their head, and it looked like the visor caused some terrible burns around their eyes, and they acted really crazy. They cast that spell that nearly set the horses on fire and all that stuff. So remember, they had silver visor, silver armor, and had burned eyes. Maybe you'll see that pop up again. You also saw a few references to people in red. You eventually visited this guy who was in a red brick tower, the ruins of a red brick tower in the forest the kobolds brought you to. He was sitting in a red robe, maybe like a mage's robe, or cleric's robe, and he had this little black beard and sort of a strangely aged face. He wanted to know, have you seen anybody else wearing red like me, he said. That was one of the things that was in the challenge. So that's something to keep an eye on. I may have identified who here answered that answer. Who gave answers to that question about people in red?
Missed one.
Yeah. Yeah. What are some of the red bits of clothing that you might have told them about? Right. The dwarf in the tower. He got a big red cloak. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's a real hit.
Guy at the beginning of the story.
That's right. Yeah. There's in the library. Mm-hmm. Yep. And the baby had a red sash. Right. Well, this guy was very interested in everybody who was wearing red, like my robe, or the exact color of my robe. Something else to keep an eye on. And remember, he's in a red brick tower. So that will be of interest to you. And the goblins, like I mentioned. So you'll see that the goblins are maybe your motivating force, but certainly they're going to be in the way. So that's something to keep an eye out for, is what explains what the goblins are doing. So maybe that's a mystery you want to put together. Okay, it is now 6 o'clock. We timed that perfectly, so ready to actually get started. All right. Like I explained, you've got XP on your cards. So as you do things, it's not just fighting. As you explore, solve puzzles, and fight, if you put yourself in danger, you stretch yourself, you build up XP points. When you get to 300 XP points, you'll be level 2. On the back of the sheets that I gave you, I don't advise you you stray past that second page that I told you, but if you're really curious, you'll see that it describes what happens at level 2 and level 3 and when that all happens. So on your card you have that. You can change characters later on. This is a story that we're all telling together, and sometimes stories you have more characters than 10. So you can actually bring in new characters, and you just tell the story of why this character sort of drifted into the background and a new character came in. If you miss one of these sessions, that's perfectly okay. I very much want to be a sort of no strings attached kind of play. Some people say, oh, I don't want to commit to D&D because I've got class or work or whatever else. If you don't show up, don't worry. You'll miss out on experience points, but you won't be cut out of the story, and you won't ruin anything if you don't show up. You might decide to bring in other characters. You might sometimes alternate, so keep that in mind. You can carry your experience points over, so I'm a bit unusual in that I want you to keep up. So if you get to be level 2 as this character, you say, oh, I want to be a different mage now. Now you can be a level 2 mage. You don't have to start from the beginning. If you die, you lose experience points, so don't die. Also, your character sheet has items. So you've built up some items in the intro. Don't lose your character sheet. I'll give you a new one. You can make a new one or print it at D&D Beyond, but you won't have any of the possessions. What you write down on the sheet is kind of the database. I don't have a database of where all the items are. I trust that you've written down different items and things. If you give something to someone, make sure you cross it off your sheet and they write it on theirs. If you lose your sheet, I don't allow you to use your memory to reconstruct what you had because we don't want any doubt about that. So I do suggest you maybe take a photograph of your thing once in a while because people do lose these sheets. But I also have this folder, that blue folder. You can leave your character sheet in that folder, even your character card in that folder. Hopefully nobody will accidentally remove it from there, but it's a fairly safe place. So make sure you're writing stuff down as you go. Sometimes people will write down facts about the world. As I tell these stories, you're not required to obsessively write everything down, but some people love that anyway. But this world has a lot of mysteries that I hardly ever tell you a whole story. I'll make references to things, and you'll start, it's like, I have the whole puzzle assembled behind this screen, right? And I'll just keep tossing out random pieces. And sometimes they're like, oh, these two pieces go together. Or like, these two pieces don't fit together at all. Some people write stuff down and say like, this is connected to that. And of course, you start to put the puzzle together faster the more that you've got. So that's fun. Sometimes as part of gameplay, you actually explore, you say, I want to find another piece of the puzzle, essentially. Like, what I want to spend this next 5 minutes of my die rolling is I want to know more about the guy in red. I want to know more about the silver visor. And I always find some way you can advance that. So, but you don't have to write it down. You don't have to memorize it. You just be just a brute that just likes to chop at things or blast things with fire, and that's okay too. All right.
What was the guy with the jeweled dagger?
Yeah. So that was so long ago that you don't have a possession, but this is sort of like your early adventuring thing. But yeah, you found it in that wrecked library, and it was, now you realize that might have been a magic dagger. You have to sort of fill in your own story about like why you don't have that dagger on you right now. Did you have to sell it in order to get the money to make this journey? Did somebody steal it from you? Was it some sort of cult dagger? This is really interactive in that, I rely on everybody to fill in the story. Again, you don't have to, but I'm quite open, especially when it comes to things that are kind of off my map. And your backstory is really under your own control. Yeah. So you can make up your own story about what happened to that dagger.
If we go find the dagger, isn't it be weird if like 10 people like
it would be.
I just want to story with this one dagger.
Yeah, there's a little bit of quantum reality going on
like,
here. Yeah, that'll happen. Yeah. So things will quickly get unique, but because everybody starts the same way, there's a little bit of like, that's strange that we all found that at the same time. Okay, great. I don't have any announcements. This is why usually at 6 o'clock I'll make any announcements. Just to recap, the most recent scene is you're in jail, as I said. So we'll do a little bit of what I call retcon, or what's popularly called retcon. I'll still go back in the timeline a little bit soon, but this is the most immediate problem you've got. As I say, this is a collaborative story. The most important thing is not to win, right? Video games, you would be the players, I'd be the computer, and if this were World of Warcraft, you're just trying to like get points out of me. So I'm kind of your enemy. D&D really, I don't think D&D should be like that. It can be, and there's many types of D&D, and I love them all. But my style is like we are making a collaborative story together, and the amazing thing is nobody's in control of the story. The story is random for several reasons. One, of course, is the dice, right? The dice are going to screw everybody up. Everybody's best intentions, yours and mine, are going to be messed up by the dice. And that's one of the best things to do is what I call rolling with it. It's like improv comedy. Say yes to what the dice tell you. You'll discover after you play, believe me, that some of your most memorable, funniest, best recounted moments are times where you failed very badly at something. Your character might be very bitter about it, but you as a player might really enjoy your character getting into some terrible mishaps because the dice don't work out. And besides, if you always succeeded, that wouldn't be very exciting. Stories have got to have ups and downs. So that makes the game random, obviously, and I have no idea how it's going to turn out. But there's something more profound in that, I have the world, as I've described before, so I stick to the world pretty strictly. Like, I try to keep myself honest. I won't suddenly change things around just because I want to, get you, right? I try to stay solid because it makes the story easier to tell. But your choices are totally out of my control. So whether you go left, right, north, south, if you decide to attack something or make friends with something, you have a chance of success at pretty much anything you try, and that will have very unpredictable consequences, which I love. So as a DM, I love rolling with what you tell me with your choices. So I try to say yes. I think we should all try to say yes to each other, each other's crazy ideas, try to support each other, try to say yes to me and yes to the dice. But I am trying to teach you how to play D&D. I want you to go away to other DMs and not have some sort of crazy idea that the DM has to serve a race and make things difficult for your future DM. So sometimes I'll say yes eventually. Like, yes, you can do that crazy thing, but you have to be level 5, or you have to work your way towards this. This spell does the crazy thing you want, but you can't get that spell right now. Or this skill does that crazy thing you want. And if you want to do that, let's work together on steering your character towards that skill, but it's just totally outside your scope. Or I might say, yes, if you roll really well. If you roll one of these and it comes up as a 20, I pretty much try to say yes in some form, no matter how crazy it is. You might say, oh, if it's really that improbable, Matt, don't worry, I'm not going to try it anyway. So some things like that about saying yes. These things all play off each other to make it completely unpredictable. Okay. The kobold cells. The few things happen just on the way to here. These in the last several minutes. So I'm going to jump around the timeline before you got to the cells, just to give you a little bit of an opportunity to use your character sheets and use the dice. This is now a slide. The next slide, I think, please, would be the next one. Yeah. So what we're doing here is kind of getting immersed and using skills. So you had that exchange of coins. You were sold as prisoners, right? That group of kobolds sold you to the present group of kobolds and put those bags over your head and shoved you into this tunnel, and you were wandering down there. So a few things happened during that part of it. First of all, you all noticed something that was pretty obvious. You don't have to roll dice to have noticed this. Some of the goblins that were coming from the north, they seemed to be coming back from a trip to the north. They looked quite dirty, tired, and hungry. They had battle wounds, as if they had been fighting. But they had machinery. They had usually entire machines, like a sewing machine, a plow, a grandfather clock, a wind-up child's toy with blood on it. Things that you might use in a shop, in a farm. You realize, this is the kind of stuff that, ordinary people would sort of have, and they're just kind of throwing them down at the feet of the kobolds. The kobolds are taking that stuff into the cave, so as you're being negotiated over, the kobolds are receiving these machines that the goblins have been bringing up apparently from the north. And the kobolds are already starting to take it apart and starting to extract wires and pipes and stuff like that.
This is before we had the sex put on our head, is it? Or
Before what?
Don't we have sacks on our head?
Yeah,
though?
so before you had the sacks put on your head.
Before,
So this is I'm
yeah.
jumping back the timeline that while
Yeah.
you're still outside the cave,
Yeah.
before you're handed over the sacks, you noticed a few things.
Yeah.
And this is one of the things you noticed. So, and the kobolds were making notes on some kind of bronze tablet. They had some sort of big mechanical bronze plate that they were sort of twiddling dials and doing things as they're looking at what came in, and some money was exchanging hands. So again, just one thing I'll mention. This is a piece of the puzzle. Whether you note it or remember it is up to you, but this is something that might start coming together. Goblins are tougher than kobolds. Kobolds are pretty small. They're numerous, but they're small. And the goblins were sort of mocking the kobolds, saying we're really hungry. We should probably eat these prisoners that you brought back. We should just eat them. We're going to take them from you. And you're here are we about to get eaten by goblins? But the kobolds say, no, they're very important. They're our prisoners. And so you can tell the kobolds and the goblins are kind of rivals in a way, or there's a bit of incipient violence that's somehow being kept in check by their respective numbers. They don't have an easy alliance with each other. So that's something you've discovered. Like I said, you saw those goblins with banners, and while you were here, before you got shuttled away, you actually heard them chanting. Some of you know the goblin language. Languages are listed somewhere in your character sheet, but it's not super important, but if you happen to find it, you might find languages somewhere down there. But some of you understand the goblin language, and this is what they are chanting. Get machines! Get machines! Kill the natives! Take their machines! So they're repeating that over and over again as they're marching north with these banners. So, some mysteries are a little bit easier to put together than others. Like, I think I'm starting to figure out what's going on here. So you've seen that before you were hooded and led into the cave. As you got led into the cave, you heard, remember you're going down that tunnel, and you had heard that somebody screaming about the shards. So this is when you're being led by the kobolds. You're blind, but you could hear over on the left side, and you felt like this big grating, like there's a big room back there in this cave. And you heard the chattering of kobolds. You heard a human voice with at least a human accent in this crazed, sort of desperate tone, saying, "The shards, I see it, I see the shard, let me have it, let me get the shard." And then you heard the whirring of machinery, like the stomping of like big metal legs on stone, and the sound of metal going through stone, like stone being ripped apart, the screeching, terrible noise before you got led on. So that's something that's going on inside the kobold cave. As you came in, each of you did something different. This is what we call chances to shine. Each of you are good at different things. Right now you have some characters that are similar, so you'll share the same fate, but eventually your characters will branch out and be very different from each other as you go. And now I'm going to determine, well, here's something that you're good at, and this is why you did it. So I'm going to kind of stick you onto one path, but believe me, D&D, you get embarrassed for choice. So if I'm not always giving you choices, it's just because we have a lot of people and I'm just teaching, and I sort of loosen things up as we go. So right now I'm saying, here's what you decided to do, but it's not always going to be like this. You'll be able to decide what to do. But I've kind of pre-chosen a few things you might find interesting. So I'm going to go through each of you. The clerics. So the clerics have pink sheets. I think we have one cleric at least. 2 clerics, okay. So the 2 of you, you're both clerics, and you're both trying to accomplish something here. You're captured by kobolds, and you have religious training. You know religion very well. It's one of your skills, as I'll point out there. And you remember the kobolds being mentioned in your religious studies. When we talk about stuff like this, I should have a character. You mind if I take this? You're not using the yellow one, are you?
No, you're right.
Okay, I'll point this out. Okay. So as I said, you're on the second page. Over here on this side of the page, you've got a list of words like intimidation or athletics or sleight of hand or whatever else. The clerics, you'll notice you have something called religion listed there. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. Okay. And there's a number next to that, yeah? These are the skills that you have been trained. So whatever's listed there, you have basically studied this. It's like you've formally studied how to do these particular things, and hopefully they're self-explanatory, but I'll call them out. So yeah, they're all listed there. And the numbers actually have a reason why the numbers are high or low, and we'll get to that. They're based on your stats, and they're based on some other stuff. So I'll explain that later. So I'm going to do the first, what's called a skill check. This is where the clerics are going to roll a d20, and they're going to add their religion skill in this case. So I say, please do a religion check. So before you roll, I want to make sure again, I know we go very slow. The d20, what is your religion bonus? What does it say there?
+2.
+2, right? So you roll a d20, you add 2. You don't have to tell me what you rolled, just tell me what the total is. You will have to do some math in your head. I can help you. If you're bad at math, I'll add it up for you.
Natural 1 or a natural 20.
Yeah, exactly. There is natural 1, natural 20, both have consequences either way. Yeah, they can be very high success or very embarrassing failure. So the higher the number, the better. So to the degree that you can change the dice, first of all, you should be in a casino, not here, if you can change the dice with your mind. But if you insist on trying to change the dice with your mind, you should try to be as high as possible. Each of the clerics, please now roll. Tell me what you get. Got you right. You roll 1. Hey, that's always good when the dice start off as a 1. Okay.
13.
So okay, it's a 13. All right. So you have a bit of a split. Usually when you roll really low, I like to say it's not that you're bad at religion. It just means you had terrible luck. This is an opportunity for you to develop your backstory. Optionally, like the day that they taught all about kobold religion, you weren't in school. You might wonder why. Like, why did you skip class? Were you asleep? Were you hungover? Had you decided to wag school? Maybe you were helping a sick friend. I mean, whatever. You missed this lesson completely, and you really wish you'd been there. You, however, did listen to this lesson because you got a 13. I'm going to say, well, if you had a 12 or up, you succeed. So in this case, the 12 is, yeah. What did you get total?
13 total.
Yeah, 13 total. Yeah, so you succeeded. And this is that binary split. If you really overroll, sometimes you'll get even higher level of success. If you roll really, really low, sometimes there's negative consequences. Luckily for you, apart from embarrassment, there's no negative consequences for rolling super low. But you search your mind and you succeed. So you remember that kobolds worship dragons. They speak Draconic. That's why some of you can understand what the kobolds say. Some of you have Draconic as a language, literally of dragons. And they worship dragons. So you remember, they worship They worship either Tiamat or Bahamut, and one is good and one is evil. These seem like evil types, so I bet they worship Tiamat. Tiamat she's the queen of all of all dragons. She has 5 heads of different colors, and she's like the boss. She's a god, goddess, a deity. So you know that these kobolds, maybe you can remember some prayers in Draconic that you can sort of utter to sort of intimidate them or scare them or kind of shake them loose. Like Tiamat would think you're weak, or Tiamat wouldn't like what you're doing. So this is an opportunity where, as we play and get deeper, you might think of lines, can make it especially effective. But for now, let's say use a Draconic phrase to try to shake up the kobolds a little bit.
How would I spell
Tiamat. And of course, every bit of knowledge, don't say, oh, I'm not supposed to know that. Assume that everybody knows everything. So it's much better for team play. Don't worry about pretending not to know something.
So I gotta talk everyone's ear off about Tiamat.
Yeah, later on, you can say, like, you know what I did there? That was about Tiamat. You can go and do that. So whatever I say about Tiamat, you can imagine that you know as well. So you mutter this, and a kobold, of course, you're blind at this point. You're being led through the tunnel. But as you mutter this, one of the kobolds, you could feel this kobold shaking. He's kind of quivering, and he mutters something Draconic like, I'm sorry, I've been bad. I'll give atonement to Tiamat. Here, I renounce it. Here, take this, take it away from me. It's too tempting. And presses into your hand something sharp. Later on, when you have the hood off, you'll sort of look through your possessions, because you sort of stuff it into your armor so that the kobolds don't know. You see that it's a piece of red mirror. It's reflective like a mirror, but it's like it's got red glass, blood red glass. And as you look at your own reflection in it, you look kind of weird, like you don't quite recognize your own face. So you can explore that later. Again, I'll mention these things once. Later on I say like, hey, that red mirror, can I spend the next few minutes of play checking that thing out? So that's all I'm going to say. You look weird as you look into it. And what this is about, you don't know. It looks like a broken piece of a mirror, so please put on your sheet, but not yours because you didn't manage it, red mirror fragment. And I'll know what that means. Okay, that was the cleric's tale. The wizards. The wizards, in the same sort of tunnel as you're being pushed along blind, you have what's called arcane training. You have a skill called Arcana. So if you look in that same section where the clerics looked, there's something called Arcana with an A. So that means that you know how magic works, you know magic formulas, you detect magical energies, you know all about how spells work and all that. So this means that you're sensitive to what happens next. You feel a weird, mild surge of energy kind of near your fingers. You're sort of stumbling along this little narrow tunnel, and your fingers start to tingle as you move along, and you start to sort of feel along the wall. The wall is very rough. It's maybe been roughly hewn, and it's got all kinds of like pock marks and little shelves and little sort of holes and things in it. And it gets a lot stronger as you go past, but you're blindfolded, so you have to use your arcane sense to hone in on where this magical thing is, because you're very curious. You're a wizard. You want to find out more. So now you're going to do a skill check. Who is a wizard? Raise your hand if you're a wizard, Harry. Yes, okay, good. So you're going to, what is your Arcana bonus?
+5.
Okay, so you rolled a d20. Very good. Roll a d20. Okay. What was your total?
9.
9. What was your total?
24.
24. Again, we have a split. 12 was the number I was looking for. So you succeed, and you unfortunately do not. Because you've got good Arcana. Maybe you've had some experience with this sort of thing before. This is chaos energy, actually. It just the power of chaos is like one of the fundamental forces, and it can be in concentrated forms. So as you sense it, it gets very strong, and you pluck something up, and your fingers close on something that's maybe the shape and size of a corn kernel, like a popcorn kernel. It's kind of irregular, kind of cool to the touch. Later on, you stuff that away. Later on, when you look at it, you'll see that it's shiny black metal, reflective but dark. And the weird thing, so it's hard, you can't deform it, and it's a bit blobby, like almost like something like molten. It's sort of like randomly sort of molten, right? But when you look at it, it's a strange feeling. Like your eyes can't really adjust to how far away it is. Like when you see it, you kind of get confused. Like you think your hand must be gigantic and 10 miles away, and the thing inside is like this giant boulder and it's really far away, and your arm is just 100 miles long. And then you think, no, actually, my hand is tiny, and this thing's like the size of a grain of sand. It's right up next to my eyeball, and everything in between. It's just, you just can't judge its distance. Very confusing. You feel vaguely uneasy, but being a wizard, you say, like, you know how to handle yourself. This thing can't be too radioactive, so you decide to keep it for now. You can change your mind about that, but let's put that in your inventory. That is called a chaos shard. So please write that down. You now own a chaos shard. Yeah, that was the wizard's success. Nobles, you're the ones with yellow sheets, and I don't know if we have any of them. Okay,
No.
Don't worry about that. Okay, that's good. That's good. That's fine. Okay, great. Is that very important? No, I think.
Because we don't have a
Tell you what, we have
don't have
two-
a meat shield.
No, we have 2 green warriors.
We've
So
got 3 green warriors.
3 green warriors. Okay. So I'm going to just randomly say that you're still who you are. I'm not going to call you noble, but you get to do what the noble does, just to get a bit of variety up in the house. So I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. You. So you are the one that do the following. Okay. You're a warrior. You are fairly strong. And you might have something called athletics. No, you don't, but you have pretty good strength. So this will be a little bit harder for you than the other warriors, but it'll be very impressive. So
Yeah.
this will be the thing I'm looking for here. Okay. You went by, as you're blindfolded, there's that grated opening in that tunnel that I described that the screaming was behind. Well, you kind of got pushed up there, maybe you moved yourself there. You could decide for yourself you want to get in the middle of the action, tough as you are, and you are feeling along, and something just started like hitting you, right? You started like welts on your bare arms or like on your fingertips, like somebody wanted to sort of knock you back or just like hurt you. Of course, blindfolded and manacled as you were. Oh, by the way, you're manacled. You took that little chaos shard, by the way, so that was especially impressive. So manacled as you are, you try to catch whatever you're being hit with. It feels like you're being hit by something sort of long and thin. It might be a kobold that's hitting you from sort of the height, and it takes an act of strength to wrestle it out of its hand. So you are going to do a check. This would normally be an athletics check, which is listed here. So the noble has got a +5 in athletics because not only is he or she strong, but they also have trained and done like running and fighting and running and jumping and stuff like that. You are using your strength, so you have a +2. So roll a d20 and add 2. Ah, see, a good
Nice.
die roll.
20.
20, all right. So, see, it doesn't matter. The noble might have rolled very low, so you could have succeeded, but the noble didn't. Good job. So you grab it, you wrestle it away, and again, you sort of stuff it into your armor or something so that the kobolds don't know that you have it. Later on, you'll discover that it is a riding crop, like the kind you hold on to and whip a horse with if you're horse racing. It's a riding crop, but it's extremely finely made. It's got a fancy silver handle. The stem of it, the sort of flexible stem, has got silver threads all through it, and it's got the little flap at the end. The handle's engraved in this script, this beautiful flowing script, and it says the following: Stoica knows you're naughty. Stoica is S-T-O-I-C-A, obviously a name of some sort. Stoica knows you're naughty. So please write down on your sheet as treasure, silver riding crop. Now, again, when you have a chance, you might say, like, who's Stoica? I'm in a library. I'm going to try to find something about Stoica. Or I'm talking to a vendor. Let me ask if they know who Stoica is. These are all things that I won't make it easy for you. I'll just mention this once, and it'll be up to you to do it later on. You've written down the riding crop, and after that, just write in parentheses 20 SP. Often I'll do this because, again, your sheets are the database, and it means that if you ever sell this thing, I say, oh, you can sell stuff to this vendor. And that means you can just get 20 silver pieces by selling it. Yeah, you would get 20 silver pieces. Don't write them down because you have the riding crop, not the silver pieces. But it's good to write a value next to it, 20 SP. The chaos shard is probably worth something, but you have no idea what it's worth. So you don't get to write down what that's worth. All right. Same thing with the mirror shard. It's probably pretty worthless. It might be worth a silver piece. Almost a creepy bit of broken mirror is not worth that much. But that thing's worth 20 silver pieces. That's the same as 2 gold pieces, by the way. There's 10 silver pieces for every gold piece. That's the way it works. And every gold piece is like a $50 note. Think of it that way. So it's pretty valuable. Like you can imagine, like this is pretty fancy stuff. All right, you have that. The other 2 green warriors, so the other 2 greens that we have there, you are really an outdoorsy type, which means you have certain survival skills that apply here. This is before you had the bag on your head. You were out in the bushes while that dickering was going on, and you're kind of looking around. You're amongst nature, and you're more observant and more into nature than your average adventurer. So you took a look around. You spotted some tracks and a spatter of blood on the ground because you have something called survival skill, and that is very handy. It helps you not get lost in the wilderness. It helps you navigate a bad river. It helps you find tracks, notice where tracks are leading and how many people have walked through and when. So you're a bit of a tracker that way when you've got survival, and you can find food, all kinds of great stuff. So you're going to do a survival check. Again, over here you'll see something called survival. So that what's the number that you add to that?
3.
Okay, so please roll your d20s, add 3 and tell me the total.
20.
Very good. Okay. When you roll an actual 20, say, hey, I rolled a natural 20 or a critical roll. It's
Nat
called
20.
Nat 20.
Okay,
Exactly.
23.
Okay, fantastic. And your total?
18.
18. So you both succeeded. However, getting a natural 20 Actually, getting a natural 1 has this. Somebody rolled a 1 earlier, didn't they? I won't do that yet. Because I can't think of a way to do it. But doing natural 20, this is an opportunity. It's a little bit of a house rule that I really like, where this is your opportunity that you are especially good at this very specific thing. You are extremely good at finding goblin tracks, which is super useful. Man, that's a lucky one to get a 20 on, because goblin tracks are going to be important. So just write down somewhere in the sheet, and I know there's not a space for it, just say permanent advantage, survival, goblin tracks. And you see goblin tracks. And the great thing here, anytime this happens to any of you, you now, this is sort of an invitation for you to, why? Why are you so good at goblin tracks? It's not just luck. Maybe you've had experience with it, or you've studied it somehow. Maybe you've discovered it for the first time. You have a natural gift. So this is an opportunity for you to think of your backstory. Maybe you have fought goblins in the past. Maybe you came from some place that, you might have hunted them. Yeah, and it could have been that you've actually had to kill a few, or maybe they've killed some of your family or your friends, and you've vowed to learn everything you can. Well, you know goblin tracks when you see them, and you notice them as well. The goblin tracks are moving along, and there's spatters of blood quite a lot, and they lead into some bushes. Well, you're not being watched all that carefully, and the kobolds are confident you're not going to run off while you're manacled. You don't have the bag on the head, but you won't get very far. They've got slings; they could kill you pretty easily. So, as you sort of move over into the bushes, maybe the kobolds sort of complain a little bit, but they've got their hands full, and so you manage to sort of move your way into the bushes to sort of check this out. And you come across a goblin corpse. This is the goblin that obviously made the tracks and bled, because this goblin's cut up very badly, been slashed by a sword or something, and is dead. It's holding on to this bottle. This is a little shiny stoppered bottle, glass, and it's very clean looking. It's always very exciting when you see something that's clean, because this is a dirty, filthy medieval world. So when something was very new and clean and unscratched, you think, it's probably magical. This is probably not a bottle of whiskey. This is probably a bottle of something magical. And you find that. He's got one in his hands, and he's got another one sort of lying next to him. So there's two, and you'll each get one of these bottles. The interesting thing about the bottles, and one of you, maybe you, because you rolled higher, you get to pull one out of its dead hands. You sort of pry his little fingers off to pull it out. It's got a weird cap on it, and you realize it's what we today call like a child-proof cap. Like, you can't remove the cap of this unless you sort of read the instructions, sort of squeeze and twist at the same time. The goblin obviously wasn't paying much attention and died trying to open this. It says healing on the side, very obvious. Potions almost never are labeled. So, okay, that's a bit on the nose. Healing, must be a healing potion, you figure. The cap on the top, this weird child-proof cap, it has something interesting on it. It says SOEC, officers only. That's an acronym. SOEC is all capital letters. Must stand for something. SOEC, officers only. Explains why it has a childproof cap of some sort. Don't worry about the childproof cap, you can take off yourself. So you just have it, but you just keep that in mind. So you write down healing potion with SOEC logo. Maybe SOEC is written on the side as well. Now, you recognize this is a healing potion. Must be a healing potion, at least it says it is. Sometimes the DM will give you something that's labeled as one thing and actually something worse, right? So I would make a secret note like, P.S. their healing potion is actually poison. Make a little fun note for myself. So you can't tell until you drink it, or you do what's called an identify spell or investigate it. If you're really paranoid, you might say, I'm going to spend my time testing this out. I'm going to take like a little dab of it to see if I feel sick, right? So if you really distrust the story,
is it a clear bottle?
It's a clear.
What colour's the fluid?
Red. Mm-hmm. But if someone wanted to fool you into it being a healing potion, of course they would make it red. Red
right.
Poison. Anyway, if it's a healing potion, you'd be able to drink it to heal hit points.
Yeah.
Also, you can pour it into the mouth of somebody else. If somebody else is down, you can pour it into their mouth and give them the hit points. It's traditional, and this actually has a clip on the side for this purpose. Usually you wear it on your belt. So if you have it and you go down and you're unconscious and possibly dying, somebody else could go up, and is considered polite on this sort of team, to pull off their healing potion and pour it down their throat. So it's a bit of a death insurance in a way. So it's very fortunate to have, but you can also do it for other people. So now you have two kinds of people that can heal things.
Is this sort of a one-hit wonder?
Yeah, so I know how many heals you, you don't. So you don't know how much health it gives you until you drink it. Or negative health is poison.
Little bits at a time, I think.
Yes. Turns you into a gas and you can never form back. There's all kinds of fun stuff. All right, so just write it down as healing potion with SOEC logo. That brings us to the rogue. Our custom-made character is a rogue, and the blue sheets are a rogue. Do you have two rogues here? Yes, okay. Rogues. This is what happened to you as all this stuff happened. rogues never miss the opportunity to, of course, steal something. That's just what comes naturally to you. You know, you've been trained at that. You're trained at something called sleight of hand, which means that you're always listening for opportunities and you're always good at pickpocketing things. So you're bound, you're blindfolded, but that doesn't stop you from being a rogue. As you're moving through that tunnel, you hear a lovely sound of a jingling coin purse next to you, obviously on one of the kobolds. It could be one of your companions, but let's say it's one of the kobolds. And you realize that, distracted as they are, if you're very good at sleight of hand, you'll be able to take it off of the kobold, steal it for yourself without them detecting. The hard part is not getting it off the belt. The hard part is not being detected as you do it. So this is a dexterity check. It's a sleight of hand check that you do. So if you look under skills, you see where sleight of hand is. If you have, you would have it there.
Mm-hmm. +3.
So yours is +3 because it's based on your dexterity. Yours is plus what? +5, because not only do you have high dexterity, so you have about the same amount of dexterity, but you also have trained yourself as sleight of hand. You're a trained pickpocketer, whereas you haven't really trained yourself in that regard, so you have a slightly less of a plus. Please roll a sleight of hand check, all of you.
17.
17 as well.
Oh, that's a 9.
Okay,
So,
9.
14.
14. All of you succeed. Now, all of you are in different parts, and a few of these kobolds have this. Again, for now, you have a strange coincidence of what's happening, but like I said, we're just doing it for the purpose of time. So each of you, at different points of the line, each have found different kobolds that have these different coin purses, and you manage to take it. All of you succeed in your own way, getting it off without being detected.
Or we just didn't steal from the same kobold.
You steal from each other, yeah. We'll roll randomly, see which one you end up in. No. We'll all do this now. You steal it and you pocket it as usual. When you examine it later, you see that this pouch is made of blood red leather, a fine, supple leather that's dyed blood red. Scratched into the side, definitely wasn't manufactured this way, like somebody crudely scratched it with a knife, is the words "devil money, don't touch." But it jingles. It's closed, but there's coins in there. You can feel them. But the scratch says "devil money, don't touch." So one of the questions is, do you open it and take the coins?
Shit,
Or do you
yeah.
leave it as... All right.
That was
I'm
bag of
a
coins.
rogue. That's I can't help myself.
That was a bag of coins, wasn't it?
You have some bag of coins, yeah. Now, I'm going to do a little bit of a timeline violation because you got this and you're manacled and you can't see, and but I'll do a fast forward, sort of like a jump cut to what happens in the future. So let's jump cut to the rogue, just after a little bit of adventure when the rogue is free. He, she, what's your pronoun?
Sorry.
Your rogue is your he, she, or a they?
Oh, it's a he.
He. So as he opens up his coin purse, you tumble the coins in your hand. You want the coins? What happens with this devil money? But before I say so, what are the two of you doing? Because let's say that you each simultaneously make this decision independently. Do you open your coin purse and get the coins out, or do you keep it sealed up? The devil money. Don't
I'm
touch.
going to keep it sealed up.
Keep it sealed up. Okay.
I'm
And-
opening it.
okay. All right. So, sort of a split screen, as we see the two of you, you tumble it in there, and nothing happens. You feel fine. So that's just a superstition, obviously. It's like the coins do have like a pretty weird-looking head stamped on them, but all coins have weird-looking heads stamped on them, so that's fine. Just write down 13 silver pieces. You don't have to write anything about devil money. I'll make a note of that.
Yeah, I was just picking up the dice. I was thinking, oh.
Nope. So
That
write down
sounds
13
about
silver pieces.
It's going to be slowly poisoning
Again,
your
yeah,
brain.
exactly. Am I messing with you? Because actually they're perfectly fine, or do I have a plan? You'll find out. Okay, so that is a little adventure that you all got into. That's called skill checks and skill rewards, is another way to do it, where it's not really a skill challenge where you were in danger of being damaged or something, you had to survive. You had little benefits for doing well with your skill. If you didn't do it, that's fine. You roll with the dice. For whatever reason didn't succeed, don't worry about that. So now we're really getting caught up. You are wearing your armor, by the way. You've looked at your inventory and stuff. You don't really have all the stuff on there because your backpack was taken away when you were first captivated. Or at least maybe when you arrived, of course you carried your own backpack because the kobolds didn't want to take it. But, while manacled, all the stuff got taken off you. Your weapons, your magic casting stuff, your thieves' tools, your rations, your bedroll, your tent, your rope, whatever you have on there, you don't have right now. Last you knew was in your backpack, and your backpack was taken off of you. You do have your armor, so if it mentions leather armor or chainmail or whatever else, and even a shield. Like the shield is so big, the kobold couldn't possibly use it, and it's hard to carry anything else. So those you still have, but you don't have all the other stuff. And as I said, you're bound and hooded. You are been thrown into jail cells. As you recall, you got thrown into the cell, you felt your way around, blindfold as you were. One side feels like bricks. There's a floor that seems to be made of bricks. You fell on 3 sides. You're in like this long cell. And we'll start looking at the map here. You at home don't need to see the map. Mostly I'll just narrate this, but you can imagine as you pace up and down, you on this side of the table on one long cell, with the dots being the bars.
Yep.
And you on the other side of the table, and you two are unfortunately separated for now, are on one of these jail cells. As you feel along, you seem though there's no obvious way out. There's a door, but the door is obviously closed and locked, and you are exhausted. You've been marching all night.
Are we in individual cells, or is it us
All of
five
you
on
share one
side
cell.
of them
Yep, so
on
all of
side?
you can reach each other, and all of you can reach each other, but the two halves don't have contact. You can hear each other, maybe call and exchange information, but frankly, you probably don't feel it because you are way past your sleep time, and you know that, heroic as you are, you need sleep. So I would suggest that it's a great time where you have nothing that you could possibly do. The kobolds have all left, so eventually you're just going to fall asleep. If you're an elf, you meditate. You don't actually sleep. Elves are cool that way, but you know, you have a bag over your head, so you might as well be asleep. But you know, you still need to regather your energy by doing what's called a long rest. So the next thing they'll tell you about is how long rests work. This is that thing that I told you about, where when you wake up the next morning, you tend to be okay. But when you long rest, there's a chance of something bad happening during the night, depending on your environment, depending on precautions that you've all taken. I won't walk through those because unless the dice really want to screw you over, nothing particularly bad happens, besides the stuff I'm about to say, overnight. Nothing wakes you up in the middle of the night, let's say. You manage to get enough rest to get through. When you wake up, I have some good news and some bad news.
Joy.
The good news is all of your hit points are restored. So whatever damage you have, erase it. You're back to your maximum hit points. Remember, in this part of the sheet, you have a hit point section. In little tiny type, it says hit point maximum. If you just erase everything below, that means that you have those, in this case, 12 hit points, whatever. So you can erase all that.
Right now.
Yeah, all right. You also get back what's called hit dice. We never went into that, so don't worry about that. But there is something down a little bit lower. I want you to pay attention to this little section that says hit dice down below. It says like 1d8 or 1d10. I'll explain that later, but when you do a long rest, you also get those back. You can spend them and you can get them back. Basically, when you do little short rests during the day, you can get more hit points by taking a little bit of a breather, and that's called spending hit dice. I'll cover that later. Yeah. So you got that back. Also, even though you haven't done it, if you cast any big spells as a mage or a cleric, you've got those back. So when you wake up, you're charged with magical energy. You have to study your spell book a little bit to do it. I'll hand wave that part because I want you to be able to cast spells without spending 10 minutes studying your spell book. The cleric needs to pray for a while, but let's say that once you get your spell book back, you'll be right. Mm-hmm. So your spells come back. So many other powers recharge, what they call on a long rest. You might read in a character sheet that every long rest you get to do something. And that's the good news. The bad news is you're awakened by screaming. First of all, you were sleeping so solidly, you had a vague dream of somebody screaming, and you realize that in this cell with you, as you're sort of feeling your way around, there is at least 1 or 2 passengers that were on the carriage with you, and in each cell, one of them is very badly wounded, like they're bleeding heavily and they're unconscious. And they weren't that way, you know, they're being led down the tunnel along with the rest of you. This screaming is somebody in one of your cells, it doesn't really matter, being picked up and taken away by kobolds. He has a low guttural voice. You remember this guy. He was a half-orc, so he's very heavily built with quite prominent jaw and teeth. He had academic robes on. He seemed to have like a lot of books and things. He was on the carriage with you. He doesn't seem to be an adventurer sort. So it's his voice. And you're like, no, I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about it. Whatever you want. And so his voice gets more and more faint as the kobolds drag him away. And that wakes you up after your long rest, and you're sort of taking account for things. You quickly hear that go quiet, his protests, and then you hear him screaming, as if in great pain. You hear a low voice asking him questions. In common, they're asking, what do you know about the... And this word they keep saying, has a lot of X and S's in it, like it's not a word in common, but he's being interrogated, and you gather that he's being tortured. He's screaming as if every time that he says no, he screams in pain. Now, you know, people have different sensitivities, so I won't go into the details of torture. We do have a system later on for people to say, like, hey, you know, Matt, I've actually kind of got a thing about bees or about torture or about this or whatever else. So there's ways for you to signal to me, like, hey, could you kind of ease off on the description? We can quietly drift past that. I'll drift past it now. But let's say it sounds very horrible. and probably very scary, depending on how brave you are, but I think anybody would be scared. That is happening. Okay. You realize, well, somebody here has already been tortured. They just took somebody else away for torture. What if one of us is next? So that thought may be settling into you right now. But you wake up hungry and thirsty, and you know you're good for nothing if you don't settle that. I have good news again. There is food in this cell. The bad news is that these gross mushrooms that are growing in the cracks of the bag, of the bricks. With your manacled hands, you can pluck it, and you can kind of shove it up underneath your chin to get into the bag, and like sort of eat them that way. So one of the more gross meals you've probably had are these disgusting tasting mushrooms, but those of you who are trained in survival, you quickly say say these are safe to eat. You can recognize them by their smell and their texture, like these are edible, and all of you managed to eat enough mushrooms that you don't starve. So don't worry about that. Don't need to write it down. That's in your belly. Thirst. You normally have to drink. Now, you all should have water skins in your backpack, but you don't have your backpack. So you have no choice but to drink from these puddles that are on the floor. This is a cave, and it seems like there's just been kind of dripping condensation, coming down from the ceiling, and they form these puddles. So again, you can press your mouths into the floor where these puddles are and sort of suck through the bag, which may be good because it must be filtering all kinds of junk, but tastes really metallic and rusty tasting. But again, you manage to slake your thirst, otherwise you'd be weakened all day. However, now all the puddles are dried up and they don't seem to accumulate very fast. All the mushrooms are eaten and you're wondering okay, what's gonna happen tomorrow? And I have another bit of bad news. When you wake up from long rest, this is where diseases can advance. You didn't think that you had any diseases as you went, but there are terrible biting fleas in these cells that have been feeding off of you. So in the night, when you wake up, you're covered with bites and itches. This is the first thing I'll introduce as a saving throw. Some of you have already done saving throw. Saving throw is what you do in reaction to bad things happen. So instead of a skill, you being proactive, there are things where things happen to you and you have to sort of roll a die to see how well you handle it. In this little box, it's a little confusing because it mentions stats. So there's little text that says strength, dexterity, constitution, etc., all in a row, right? I'm not talking about the stuff on the big left side, not the big numbers. I'm talking about these little numbers in the box called saving throw. Everybody there has something called constitution, and you'll have different pluses. Your constitution has, for example, the noble is a +4. This is based on his constitution, or his or her constitution score, right? But has a little black circle by it, which means that this warrior has trained themselves to be extra tough with constitution as part of their class attribute. Each of you have different strengths and weaknesses there, but all of you have a number, and this is the number that you're going to add when you roll your d20. So all of you, I'll say, make a constitution save, and that's just a short way to say, look up your constitution bonus, roll 20, everybody, add that, share your numbers with each other. Yeah, go ahead and declare your numbers to each other, or if you need help adding up, ask somebody to add it up to you.
I got 6.
Okay. Again, yes, higher is better.
You're squishy as a bag.
Okay.
I'm
Mushrooms
eating
in
all
the day
day.
with me.
Who here got 10 or higher? Okay, yeah, 4 of you. If you've got 10 or higher, you are pretty tough. They still hurt you. You each lose 1 hit point. The fleas bit you for 1 hit point. Everybody else who got below a 10, you lose 2 hit points. So you went back up to full, but I'm taking hit points. Well, I'm not doing it. It's just the world. It's not my fault. Somebody wrote fleas here. It's not my fault. So, all right, you're down 2 hit points. So, more urgently realize you need to get out of here. Like 7 good reasons to get out of here, and I can't see you're not motivated. You can't survive on this. All right. We'll do the next slide, please, because now we're going to go into trying to feel out your situation with some more urgency now. All right. So, time being a pressure, you now are checking out your surroundings. Hey, Liam, can you switch to the next slide, please? Yeah, that's right. Okay. Right, so we'll have a bit of a skill challenge here, where your skills are going to help get you out of a sticky situation where you operate quickly, and then the timeline starts speeding up. I know I'm going very slow, but hopefully nobody's feeling lost. Is everybody doing okay? All right. I'd rather go too slow than too fast at this particular stage. You all check out your surroundings. Let's say you sort of take stock of the situation. I've described a lot of things. Like I said, you're split up into 2 cells. I talked about that. These iron bars, they're interesting to you because they're the things that are stopping you from escaping. You feel the iron bars. They are quite rusty and pitted, like the moisture that's in this thing has been rotting away at these bars. So some of them feel quite weak. that if you're especially strong, you might have a chance to bend these bars open and get out of this cell. Right now you can't squeeze between them, but maybe a bit of strength would help that. So if you're especially strong, that might be an option that you do. Also, some of the cleverer ones of you might get on each other's shoulders and say, do these bars go all the way to the ceiling? Yes, they do. Oh wait, no, they don't always. Most of the bars go up in the ceiling. They're embedded in a hole in the brick. The ceiling is made of brick, by the way, just like the floor. But some of the bars, they get so rusted and rotten that they sort of stop short of the ceiling, and they're this wicked point, quite sharp and nasty and jagged, but in a few places there are gaps. Do you think that someone who's quite good at acrobatics or dexterity could maybe Cirque du Soleil themselves, up and over that, sort of like climbing over a barbed wire fence? If you don't do it well, you'd hurt yourself, you'd get cut, but at least you'd be out. So you're almost guaranteed to get out, but it would be some danger. So those of you who are high in dexterity or have an acrobatics skill, that would be something that you might consider. Like I said, you've got your badly ailing fellow passengers that are unconscious. They seem to be alive, but they don't seem to be useful for anything. And you each have a door. The door is locked. It's made of bars like everything else. It's got a big plate. And of course, you rogues say, I can take care of, oh no, I can't take care of that because I don't have my thieves' tools. Yeah. And no, you can't use a fishbone or anything else in order to do it. They're very specific metal tools that you can use to open a lock. It seems like a lock you normally could open if only you had your thieves' tools, only if you knew where your backpacks were. So that is no-go, can't get out that way. As you're checking that out, and quite a bit of time has passed, the torture seems to have ended, where the wails got louder, the questions got more urgent, but you weren't paying very close attention. But now you hear the marching of feet way off in the distance, but they're starting to get closer. You hear the rabble of the voice. It seems like that low guttural voice is asking the questions.
Like, you're going back to the cell, I'm going to ask again later, I'm going to get somebody else, one of you knows what this thing is.
And the half-orc is like, no, don't take me back, the fleas, they'll kill me, there's nothing to eat, but I don't know anything, none of us know anything. Pleading to be let alone, but this torturer does not pay any attention and is coming closer. So, now we're going to kick in some real action. You realize this is your chance. You're going to get the hell out of here now that you're up and conscious and you know some of your options. All right. So on your turn, and a lot of D&D does turns, especially when the action gets fast, I'm basically going to go around the table repeatedly and each of you get a turn. And when you have a turn, you can only do one short thing at a time before I move to the next person, and then time advances. So you basically get what's called an action, and that action allows you to affect the world something. So basically what I advise, you can do anything with D&D, but if I'm teaching you, I sometimes like to give you a few basic options. If you want to do something crazy, let me know. That's really fun. But if you like to have some choices, here they are. I suggest you try to do something to get everybody able to use their hands, like get out of these manacles and be able to see, because everything else that you do is going to be at a terrible disadvantage. You can climb over that barbed top, for example, but if you're manacled and blindfolded, your chances of success are quite low. You'll probably get badly hurt because of what I call rolling with disadvantage, right? So you can do it if you like, and you will be free, but you'll be away from your friends and you'll be bound up. Probably is better to get everybody as quickly as possible free before the torturer comes back to get another victim. So here we go. It's like an escape room, everybody. What I suggest also is that sometimes I'll say, everybody show your status and use hand gestures. If you are manacled, which all of you are, keep your wrists together. And if you're blindfolded, also kind of put your hands over your eyes. So this means I'm manacled and blindfolded.
And we all are, right?
Yeah, you all are, right? But if for some reason you can see, then you're just manacled. And then they know that you can see. Or you're just like this, where my hands are free, but I can't see, that kind of thing. So that's how you can update each other so you know who to help. You realize that it's quite hard to work on your own manacles. The manacles, they don't seem to have a keyhole. They seem to have like a series of like buttons and levers. So you think that if they can somehow be pinched and moved somehow, like they're designed to be opened with a little tricky sort of combination of levers and things, but you can't really reach your own manacles. You can, very hard to, but you can reach each other's manacles. So it's better for you to help somebody else than to do it to yourself. Again, you can do it to yourself, but you'd be rolling with disadvantage. It's harder for you to succeed. Got that. The hood is the same way. The hood, it's kind of soft fabric. It can be torn open if you're a stronger sort and your hands are strong. But again, it's this really awkward angle. But if you probably tear somebody else's more easily, you can tear your own. So again, you have disadvantage to release your own hood and tear it open. But again, somebody else in the cell with you, you may be able to do that to them. Again, you're isolated, so split down the middle where you can only help people in your half of the table. Now, So you'll choose. So if somebody's turn, you say, well, what do I want to do? Do I want to help unleash some manacles or rip open a bag? Well, there's two reasons you might decide one or the other. One is, well, I'm much better at dexterity than I am at strength. Getting the manacles open is a dexterity check. So I'm going to do something that has the very highest chance of success. But you might say, look, I think it's more important for people to see than to have their hands free. So even though my strength is a point or two less, I'm going to use my strength to unleash somebody's hood because it's just more important. And it's only a point or two. You know, you're rolling a d20, right? So 1 or 2 points doesn't usually make a difference until you get so close. You're like, ah! Right, so there's that. So you balance, when you make choices as players, that's a bit how it works. I'm a very mechanical DM. I really love game mechanics. I'm a game designer from way back, so I tend to over-explain things. All right, so as you go, let's see. Yeah. Let me make sure I'm not running out of time here. Oh yeah, we're doing good. We're doing good. All right. So, yeah. Yep, I already did an example. I'm going to go around clockwise. Sometimes we'll do something called initiative, which means you all move in whatever kind of order, but let's keep this simple. I'll go clockwise around the room, so lucky you. You're the first one to make an example of everybody else. All right, so if you want to help someone, then I would suggest you pick somebody on your half of the table, and you could decide, because they're friends, maybe they're from your town, maybe they're a profession that you like, maybe they're bribing you, I don't know. You can decide to what's most helpful to the group. Who do you want to help, and what do you want to do to them?
Can I ask what their strengths are?
Yeah. So let's say that
strength
before
bonus
this
as
torture thing happened, you all sort of shared things. So everybody talk freely to each other about, just let's take 1 minute where you all say like, oh, here's what I can do, here's the kind of care. So everybody talk to each other. Yeah. So somebody say like, I want to be freed first because of this.
I'm good
Yeah.
at dexterity, not too bad at strength.
My dexterity, 7, 8.
Strong.
Dexterity,
Okay, so don't worry about these.
7, 8.
And then you
Dexterity.
Are you good at ripping?
Woo, very dexterous.
Oh, actually, if it's saving throws, I'm good at strength. I'm still pretty good at dexterity.
And also, what can contribute to the group? Like, if you could see, what might be useful. If you could move your hands, like.
Are these saving throws or are they?
These are the stats. So what you're looking at is not your saving throws by default, but your stats.
The big tigers are there to do
I'm
stuff.
good at dexterity then, I'm pretty good at strength.
But your dexterity is pretty
Yeah.
good.
Okay.
My dexterity is a 16.
Let's keep things a little rough and ready here. That will,
16
Use your dexterity. And your good dexterity is great.
all right.
I get a +3
So
for possibly working with the shackle.
And what's the most important thing is like, how can you contribute? If you had your hands free or your eyes free, what would be good for?
Because if I go first, I only have like +2 to dexterity.
What's your
So
strength?
I'm gonna try and pick somebody with good
Sight
stats.
is better.
Yeah.
So ripping open someone's
What are you?
sack that has high dexterity working with a
Ah,
shackle.
very good. Okay. You want to go with that reasoning? Yeah.
I was thinking about trying to free somebody's hands who's got a bit of strength so they can rip everybody's mask.
Okay, great. So let's go with that. All right. So pick somebody based on that, and you're gonna try to get their manacles off.
Yeah.
You've got a.
Me or you?
Minus
Got
1
+2.
strength for me.
Or 1.
Okay.
I've got a +2.
I'll
I
pick.
got +2 too.
Okay. Pick your neighbor here. Okay, great. So now you're going to roll a strength check. You're gonna do a each of you do these. So it's
Oh,
worth
is it
paying attention.
dexterity then?
Oh, dexterity. Sorry, you're gonna do dexterity check. You're gonna roll d20 and add your dexterity bonus. Just you.
What were you saying?
10, 12.
12. That is enough. You managed to get your hands free. So now your status is you are unmanacled, but you've got something on. Okay, and it's just that easy. Normally you can also move, but let's not worry about that because there's really nowhere to move to. Your turn now. What are you going to do? You can help again anybody on any side and do either thing. Or you can climb up and out and cut yourself open. That's fine too. I love that.
No. I'm probably going to do a dexterity as well. I'm best at that.
Great.
Try and get someone's manacles off, whoever.
Okay,
has
so hold up your hands with manacles if you're manacled. That's everybody. I know it's
Yeah,
obvious.
it's
But
everyone, pretty much.
everybody's got
Yeah, we're all
manacles on.
blindfolded, so.
Yeah, all blindfolded and manacled.
You will go dexterity. So I'm just trying to get your handcuffs off. Your
Okay.
shackles off.
Very good. All right.
So that one. I've got 5, so 8.
8, not quite enough. You get very close, but your fingers are just not quite stretching enough. However, you've taken your time to figure things out. Next time around, if you do it again, you're guaranteed to succeed. So basically, some skills, if you fail once, you kind of get better at the next time. So unfortunately, you don't help anybody, but now you finally figured it out. Next time, you'll succeed. You, next in line.
Okay, I don't have good strength either. Or no, any strength. So my intelligence isn't really good.
Yep, you just pick
So,
something. It's
I'm
all
just
right.
gonna-
Let it
yeah.
be chaotic.
So you're already
I'm
you're
She's free.
Free but blindfolded.
Yeah, all blindfolded.
Blindfolded. Okay. Okay.
I think one of us is out. Once one of us is out, we're okay.
Yeah.
It'll be much easier.
Yeah, and you've got a lot of strength. So if I try to open your blindfold fold
Yeah,
thing,
okay, great.
then you'll be free.
Awesome. So there's going to be a strength check. You're going to add your strength as you try to tear open. What's your pronoun? Are you he, she, or they?
She.
Try to open
Your
her
strength
bag.
is better than mine, actually.
0 plus 0.
Yeah, I get minus one on mine. So.
Hey, the dice can make this happen.
Alright, come on, I've had so far. There's a really good one in here.
Yeah, you wrote a good one, hey?
Oh,
10.
10.
Nice. 10
Nothing
plus.
added.
Lovely.
That's good. 10 is barely enough.
Oh.
Your fingers barely hold up, but this is what's called the DC, what DMs call the difficulty rating. Now I'll tell you that 10 is the magic number for all of these, so I'll speed things up a bit. You now can see. So you are the first totally free person. Here is what you see. Now all of you can pretend that you see this, even though you've got blindfolded. You know, she can talk about this, and you'll see it soon enough. Okay. I'm
Whispering
going
to,
to look
my,
at.
to everyone across the room.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, I did not get this little page up. So as again, as with the world, I now described some things. Okay, so you see things laid out pretty much as they are here on this map. This way is north. For those of you at home, I'm just go ahead and looking at a big square. It's brick all along the outside. To the south, there is a tunnel. The brick is broken open, like torn away, and there's a natural-looking sort of cave, or sorry, rough-hewn through the rock sort of tunnel leading off.
What's that in the middle?
All around the edge. Ah, yeah, we'll get to that in a sec. But first, you're worried about your surroundings, so I'll do it a bit at a time. You look all the way around. Everywhere are cages, so these dots on there, like where the iron bars are, like I described. First of all, you see a pile of backpacks over there, and they are your backpacks. All of your stuff is there. But this has a closed door, just like you all have closed doors in front of you, and it's sort of back from there, so you're not sure you'll be able to reach it unless you think of a good trick. This door would be stopping you from going down this tunnel. This tunnel is where those voices are coming from. As they're getting closer, this is where the danger is going to be coming from. You've checked all that out. You see the rusted off spikes, where all the gaps are and all that. But then your eye is caught by something in the middle. You see a figure, a human figure. Well, not human, a dwarven figure, but you know, the size of a human. Dwarves are kind of squat. They're short, but they're kind of wide. And you can see through the figure. This figure is semi-transparent. He is a dwarf. In D&D, one of my home rules is that you magically know someone's pronoun as soon as you see them. So he is a dwarf. He has got plate armor on, and it's got a lot of red accents and a lot of insignia, so like military insignia. No, not a lot, but a few military insignia that have quite a lot of black and red in those insignia. The plate armor is quite strange. That comes all the way up to the bottom of his lip almost. You can just see like the top of a very straight across beard poking up there. But the helmet is pulled down, so you really can't see his face very much. And of course, he's a little hard to see because you're seeing through him. This light, the room is got dim light, so it's very hard to see detail. Some of you have what's called dark vision, which means that even if it's pitch dark, you can see things as if they're dim light. But even if you're a human or a halfling, you can see, once you have the bag off your head, you can see as you are a human. So in this dim light, it's kind of hard to make out his features, but he is marching around. That thing in the middle, you realize, you squint and you see there's a trap door set in the floor. It looks like a big, bound with iron, wooden trap door. And there's some kind of holes on either side. Like in the brick, there are these sort of like circular plates with holes in them that you can't quite understand. And he is like marching around in this tight little square and maybe muttering to himself a little bit, but you can't at all hear him. He is, let's just call him the dwarf. Those are all the things that you see, and now all of you will be able to see once you are free and can see around. And we're going to move on to the next. So you've used your action. So next is you, I believe.
It is,
All
yes. Alright, so I've got a bonus in strength and I am clumsiness.
Okay, everybody update your status. Show if you're blindfolded or manacled.
So I am going to try, because you're dexterous, I'm going to try and rip your hood off.
Okay.
Oh, that's an 18.
Fantastic. All right, your hood is free. Very good. You see the same thing that the previous one saw. Now it's your turn, and we'll start moving a little faster now that we've got the idea.
Little update. Who's
Yep.
everyone's the same. Okay, so it's just you. So, seeing as you got strength, I'm gonna try and free your hands.
Right on.
Got a 6, so that's gonna be a 9 for me.
A 9, barely, and that means you barely got there. Yeah, you're trying, and like maybe the bag is slippery, and then it sort of slips out of your hands, and no, you can't quite do it. Now, meanwhile, in the other cell, this whole time around the table is basically like 6 seconds or so. Like all this stuff is happening at the same time. Even though it goes slow, imagine it's a bit like a slow-mo scene in a movie. Go ahead.
Okay, well I go towards the rogue that talked up to dexterity and try to rip his hood off.
Oh, rip his hood off. Very good. With strength.
Oh.
With 4.
With a 4, no, yeah. You're pulling apart, but you're
Poke me in
pulling.
the eye.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you sort of hurt him a little bit,
As
and
you're
like.
walking over, you slip.
Yeah, you're trying to pull some seams. Like you realize this is a part where it's kind of like double thick. It's like, oh, you really chose the wrong spot to try to rip. But so over the next few seconds. But again, anything that you failed at, if you try the same thing next time, you'll certainly succeed. So do remember that.
I'm the
Go.
same person? Or?
No, it doesn't have to be the same person on anybody.
Okay.
Okay, next in line.
I'm pretty dexterous, so I'm going to undo the thingies
Mm-hmm.
of my friend Peter because he's strong.
Okay, very good. Dexterity check.
Oh, sorry.
That's fine.
Oh, that's
I got
good.
a 21.
Woo! All right, you're free. Okay, very good.
Then just blind me.
Yes. Okay,
Okay.
now it's you. And feel free to update status, so show each other what your problems are.
Now I'm quite strong, so I will try to rip your hood off.
Okay.
That's 14 plus 4, 18.
Okay, all right, we're getting somewhere. Next.
And I'm going to try and take the shackles off you.
Okay.
Oh, not the shackles, oh, that 13, yeah.
Oh, very good. You succeeded either one. Which
yeah,
one are you
I
doing?
wasn't I was going to use my strength, but I'm quite dexterous as well, so that's
Yeah.
16, so yours are off.
Okay, the
Excellent.
shackles are
Yeah.
off. Yes.
Excellent.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
And your turn. And it's my turn.
Who have we got?
I have-
So you've got,
Apparently I've got
I can
martial
see.
arts.
you can
Oh, no,
see.
martial
But I'm
weapons.
still tied up.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'm going to do your shackles first then, so that's you completely out.
Mm-hmm.
16 and 7, that's 23.
Okay, great. Your shackles are off. Before I take my turn, anybody who has their shackles free, you basically can. They seem to be reusable. They're almost like zip ties. They can click together, and as long as you know the little combination, you can get them open again. And you're pretty good at getting them open. So you can put those in your inventory. So if your shackles are off, anytime this happens from this point forward, write down cobalt manacles in your inventory. Might be useful. Okay. Now, when it's my turn, again in this initiative thing, sometimes the monsters will go in the middle of all of your turns, sometimes they'll go first, sometimes they'll go last. But to keep things simple, I'm having the bad guys, the bad people do their thing last. So, in this case, they're getting closer, and this is where I sort of randomize things a bit, to sort of see, like, this is where I secretly roll, where I have an idea, I'm just making myself tell the story a little differently based on what I roll, on how much extra time do you get. They are getting closer, but fortunately this corridor is fairly long and they're not moving very fast. So you have at least one more turn around the table before they come rushing in here. Remember, you want to get out, you want to be able to fight, your stuff is over here.
Just your.
You can't get to your stuff until you get out of these cells in one of a few ways, bending the bars, getting those doors open somehow, or climbing up and over. And remember, if you have either your shackles on or a blindfold, many of those things have disadvantage. If you were to climb over, you can, but your chances of failing are higher. All right, so once more around the table, and I might go a little bit faster.
Let's do a check.
Yeah, do a check, demonstrate what your problems are.
Alright.
I do have an idea.
You got an
Sure.
idea? Oh, here you went.
Thinking, well, whoever, if as long as we get to the backpacks, we'll be okay. Then we can get the rest out.
Yeah.
You know, maybe if my blindfold's off, maybe we could get out. Because I think if we got one more turn before they come around,
Mm.
so we kind of want to get the door open, get someone out to get the backpacks. Maybe. Is that behind the locked door?
The backpacks are behind a closed door to the north.
Does it also
That
have a
you
gap
can't
at the top?
reach.
Is it locked?
What?
Does it also have gaps at the top?
It does have gaps at the top.
Okay. So the acrobats could
Is
work.
it
Very
someone?
good.
Could someone in one turn get out and get the backpacks?
Yeah, you can move pretty much everywhere. So I'll start introducing the idea that on your turn you can both move and take an action. And moving can be getting up and over the bars and going through a door if you're able to get through the door. Yeah, so you can move around quite a bit on your turn. You can do
Because
it in
I'm
either order.
fairly free right now,
Mm.
and I also have a healing potion. So if I, let's say, climb over, which I'm not sure what to do,
Healing potion.
and I like stab myself or whatever, and I stab myself in the stomach with the
Right.
cross thing, I'm
Yeah.
probably okay if it's a healing potion.
Okay,
Like,
okay,
that's an
sounds
idea,
good.
but I
So
don't know.
does that affect what you want to do?
It doesn't because it's still my task. So I might as well do something.
Sure, yeah.
I'm gonna try and rip his mask off.
Okay.
Listen to my buddy.
Now remember, all of you, if you failed last time, you're guaranteed to
19.
succeed. Okay, fantastic. All right, you're good. Next in line. Now, you can if you choose to move, remind me, right? I'm not going to always ask you because it slows things down. Do you move? Do tell me if you choose to move as well as act. It's your turn now.
I think I might try, not climbing over because that would only save me. Might try and get the bars open. 'cause
Okay,
otherwise
you're going to
there's a
use your
hole in
strength
it.
to try and bend it open. Okay, so let me look that up. Yep, okay, I know what you need to roll in order to do that.
Because
So
that
it's
way
a
there's
strength
a hole
check.
for everyone to get out.
Very good.
12, so 14.
14. This is where degrees of success are important. So you've succeeded over 10, which means that you do bend them open. However, it's a two-stage process. You bend them open so that small people, small size characters can get through. Anybody who's a halfling is small size. Everybody else, including dwarves, are medium size. Somebody else could finish the job, so on a second bend, it will get wide enough that everybody can get through. If you rolled a 15, you would have done the whole thing in one blow. So you see how degrees sort of matter? Very good. But now that you've done that, it's not your turn, but you can, if you wanted to move and go up and over the bars, for example, you could, but you're probably not going to, so I doubt that you move. Your turn.
Okay, well, so can I do a check again?
Yeah.
Who's still-
And remember, repeating something you failed at is guaranteed to succeed this time. If you failed at something last time, you're guaranteed to
So
succeed.
you guys both still have masks on, and I tried to do a mask.
Okay.
I know I succeeded with the mask last
Okay,
time,
then,
so
then never mind.
I'm actually a bit more dexterous, so I'm just going to try and undo one of your shackles.
Okay, yep. Who's got shackles on? Hold up your wrists crossed if you got shackles on.
Who's best for fighting the guy?
Yeah, fighting with shackles is going to be a
Try
problem.
and try and bend the bars.
I've read that
Yeah.
one. I've read
And
that.
you're like me because
It's gonna be ages till it
pretty
gets back to my
useless.
turn.
Yeah. Alright, I'm going to try and undo yours.
And I'll put you in the room by then.
They could be. They could be.
Oh.
Ooh, no.
9.
9, no, not enough, unfortunately. Remember, you'll automatically succeed next time because you're figuring it out. You next.
All right. I'm a little bit strong, and I've still got my manacles, and I'm blind, but I heard some bars
Mm-hmm.
get bent.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just feeling my way to the bars, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna try and
Are your manacles on?
my manacles
Okay.
are on.
So I'll introduce disadvantage. You can still move.
Failed attempt. We failed attempts of trying to get the manacles off, didn't we?
I did.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, just remember your own failures.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I won't be able to remember, so you're on your honor to remember that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So you, with your manacles on, are trying to bend. So you have to kind of use your foot and all that stuff, but you'll have disadvantage. It means you roll 2 dice at the same time, ideally,
Yeah.
and you take the lower of the 2.
I don't know if you want that one.
Take the lower of the
I don't
2.
want that one at all.
Oh.
18 and a 5, so that is 7.
Yeah, so you have to use the 5, then you add on your thing and a 7. No, because your manacles are on, you're trying to wrench this further open, and you do not succeed. But again, you'll automatically succeed next time. Okay, we'll keep moving.
Seeing that, could I get through the bars?
Yes, you can. Yeah, you
Okay,
can
get to the
squeeze
bars.
through them.
Well, there is a door, like I want you guys to discuss. There is a door there which we know has a backpacks, but I don't know what the dwarf has. I'm thinking, could I move to the door?
Yep. Yeah, so
I'm
it's,
not sure if I
but
need
basically
to-
you're out here, so you're number 5 as I counter on the table. You'll all have your own individual chips and things eventually, but we'll have this many people that we use
Is there
numbers.
any bars at the top of the backpack?
Yep, there's gaps up there. Yep,
Oh,
you can
so
climb through the
get
gaps.
through,
Yep.
yeah. Get
You
through
can get
the
your
gaps.
look here.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm thinking I'm gonna try the door. See,
Yep, go over.
Like,
Yeah.
I guess maybe this might not be my action, but just see if it's locked.
Yeah. The door opens. In 5 times that I've played the scenario recently, you're the first person to actually just try pulling the door open. It's my idea of a joke, you know. I love doing that. Or eventually it's like, okay, I'm gonna get the lockpicks, and I'm gonna like the door just opens. Yeah. This seems to be busted. So this door just swings right open. Fantastic. All right. So you're able to walk over there. Now you've already done. You haven't done an action yet. You've only moved. Your action. Now that with the backpacks will apply to all of you. If you have an action, you can just get your own backpack on. You've just got all of your stuff. You quickly.
Thieves' tools.
Yeah, you'll have everything, right? If you're there and you don't have an action, you can still get one item out. You can pull out one thing on your sheet. So you might want to think, what is the most important thing to get out? The thing that you pick up, though, you might pick up somebody else's backpack, and like if you put it on the other side of the bars, they'll be able to reach it to the bars and get everything on as well. So what do you do now that you're here? You can take an action, which can be any of those things I described.
There's just backpacks in the room.
Yes, they're all your own possessions, but there doesn't seem to be anybody else's possessions.
What do you guys think?
Or if you know which one or even if you know your own.
Yeah, you
can put
recognize
your
yours and
lockpicks
everybody
near
else's.
them
I mean, you
and
spent 2
hope
days
that
together.
they
You know
can
what stuff looks
unlock
like.
themselves.
Because they've got 2 rogues as well, so if you chuck, I don't know, a pair of lockpicks into their cell,
Mm-hmm.
there's 2
Yeah.
people who can try and get them out.
Okay.
Multiple.
Alright. So yeah, I would don't mind me shaking. I'm actually just shaking because I'm cold. I'll pick up my own backpack
Good, you got it.
and do I know how many lockpicks I have, or does that matter?
No, that's fine. Yeah, it's just thieves' tools. Yeah.
Cool.
So this is great because you actually can move quite a bit. So you do an amazing move. You get out through the bent bars. Thank you very much for that. You pick this up. That's your action. You can keep on moving because you can move quite a distance. So you basically you interrupt your move to do that action, and you get all the way over here. You know, and as you do, you're fishing around because you know your backpack very well. You can basically interact with one simple object in a simple way during your turn. You get out your lockpicks and you can just drop them. You can drop them for free. So
Yeah.
who do you give your thieves' tools to on this side of this
Can I get an update? Are they all in the same cell?
They're all in the same cell.
Are they manacled or?
No,
Yeah.
I'm completely free.
And all the road.
I'm dexterous.
Alright. I'll give a couple of lockpicks to you.
Sweet.
Yep, that's fine. Yeah, it's just imagine it's like one sort of keychain. So now the thieves' tools are yours. No, now what I'd like you to do is imagine that you so temporarily cross it off with pencil. This is the thing that I'm teaching. So cross off your thieves' tools, but later on, of course, you might get them back. You have 2. You can put 2 next to thieves' tools next to you. I know it seems pedantic, but it's so much fun when people don't have the things.
Left.
No, that's right. It's just like real life. You lost your car keys. Okay. All right. So now you have got thieves' tools. Good job. That's quite a move. And you basically have to settle there. Your movement is done. You're standing in the middle of the room as the bad guys are coming. As the only one there. All right, your turn. What do you do? Yeah, that's right.
So I retry the mask again on.
Yep. If you say you succeed automatically because you failed last time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So you succeed. Whose mask do you take off?
The same one.
Okay. Yeah. It doesn't have to be the same person, but yes. Okay. Now you can see.
Okay. Oh, excellent.
Do a dexterity strength check anyway, because I've got something nice if you roll particularly high. It wasn't that nice, don't worry about it. Okay, moving on.
Is that your third loan?
Get him out of the way, that's fine. All right. Rogue, you have a way to open it up. Yeah, so you can, but you tell me what you do.
I'm gonna unlock the door.
Okay, very good. Yeah, so you have to sort of reach around. It's a good thing your manacles are off, and you know you have to see to pick out the right one. So it's a good thing you can see, and you feel around and start picking away at it from the wrong side. This is a lock picking thing. So this is a sleight of hand is what you do. So I know what the DC is. It's a little bit harder than average still, but yeah, you're also really good at it. So what you'll do is look up sleight of hand as your skill,
Yeah.
and now you roll your D20, add the sleight of hand number.
11.
Not enough. Now, I usually don't do this afterwards, right? But every time that you roll, you can get in the habit of like, how do you convince the DM that this happens before you roll, by the way? I should have a little bit of an extra bonus on this because X, Y, Z. It's an opportunity to sort of tell a bit of a story. So it's at most usually worth 1 extra point, but would have made the difference here. I'm going to let you retroactively try to think of a reason, like, you know, say like, oh, well, you know, just it's not necessarily backstory, it's the situation. Did I mention anything about the world that you think would make these locks easier to open than average? What makes it a little bit easier than maybe I've described it?
Well, it seemed very rusty.
Exactly. Yeah. So because it's rusty, you remind me the yeah, but you know, I know that they're rusty, so I'm going to maybe deliberately force it. Like if I hit a pin that's in the wrong place, maybe if I just turn it really hard, I'll break through that pin. And that actually gives you that extra point that you need. So that makes it a 12, and you're successful. Now, you mentioned these things before you roll, right? But that's very good. So you've successfully opened the door.
Doors open.
Hooray! And all of you are free to go. Now, that's your action. You can move anywhere you like. So you are number 6, 7. Yep. So for example, you can move to the backpacks and get one thing out of one backpack. Or you can do whatever you like. Yeah, you can move over here and be ready to. Oh, I don't know if I know why I want to open that one.
No, I'm gonna go to my.
Oh, sorry.
backpack.
This I made a mistake. This one is open. I know it didn't matter before, but that door is swung open. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna go towards my backpack.
Okay, so you can get one thing out of anybody's backpack, preferably your own. Otherwise, kind of
So I can choose something from any list.
Yep.
of things.
Choose something from your list. Somebody give me a pen, if you could. That blue pen that's rolled over there. Thank you.
I'm going to take my short sword.
Okay, you've got a short sword in hand. Yeah, so just remember that. You don't have to change your character sheet. Very good. Your turn is over. Next.
Okay, so what's everyone's status? Right, so we need to do something
Completely neglected over the
Alright,
corner.
I'll
here.
try and-
well done.
I'll try and rip your mask off.
It's
So that's a 16.
Okay, fantastic. You can finally see you're merely manacled now. All right, very good. Next in line, you can move, of course, at any time. You're in an open cell, so you can choose to move if you like.
yeah, I'm gonna try and get your mask off.
All right.
That way we've got two
17.
warriors.
Great, excellent, excellent. Okay, very good.
Don't have, and I'm not completely free yet. Our door's still locked.
Can
Okay.
we sort of move now?
Yep, yeah, so on your turn, just remind me if you want to move. Otherwise, I'm assuming you're staying where
Alright,
you're at. So
I
let's go back to you before that happened. What did you do?
I would, well, I wasn't going to move until you took the mask off, so
Oh, I'll
You
let
can
that
see
go.
where
That's
you're
fine.
going.
yeah. But I'll move now to my backpack and
Okay, 6, 7,
Get
8.
some.
You're number 8. Yeah.
get my great sword.
Okay. Yep, you're there, and now you have your great sword. And if you spend an action, you'll be able to get the whole thing, right, as it is. But at least you got one thing. Now let's go back to your turn. You have done something over there, I believe. Did you roll already?
Yeah, so I'm still
Yep, you're still shackled.
I'm
Yeah,
still
that's right.
shackled, and but I'm going to. What can I do?
He's still
Are you shackled to the wall or to just like
Nope,
handcuffs?
nope, just handcuffs. You can still move around.
Yeah, I can move around. I'm gonna go and check out the dwarf.
Okay, sure. Yeah, you walk up to the dwarf.
See
The
what
dwarf
he's
has been paying almost no. No, now that you actually look at the dwarfs, ever since this all happened in the last few seconds, ever since someone climbed over there, the dwarf has been waving his arms, and now that you're close, you just hear like this little crow, jailbreak, jailbreak. But it seems like his voice is just sort of very faint, and it's got this sort of panicked look in its eyes, and it's gesturing towards something that makes no sense. Up in each corner of the room, there are these black twisted metal brackets, like it used to hold something in place, but it's not holding anything. These brackets are sort of holding on to air, but he's facing each one, like, jailbreak, help, help, jailbreak. But he's been doing that for a while. You've used your action already, but you can, at least get close enough to hear him. But next time you can use your action and say, oh, I'm going to try to talk to him, I'm going to persuade him, I can maybe fool him into doing something. This is where when you meet sort of NPCs, one of the actions you do isn't always a physical thing, it might be a conversational or a knowledge thing. So keep that in mind, yeah? But that'll be somebody else, or somebody else now knows it. But did you already roll an action? Did you roll to die?
Yeah.
Yes,
so
just
it's a-
okay, very good. All right, your turn.
Okay, so I'm going to take your shackles off. What's that? Natural 20.
Woo! All right. You have a permanent advantage on removing shackles. So kobold, yeah, let's say kobold manacles, because that's too large. So just write down, kobold manacles, permanent advantage. You definitely know the trick to this. You figured it all out. You can do it in your sleep.
I saw everyone else doing it and went, oh, that's so wrong. Don't do that.
So if the cobble manacles are off now, we put that in our inventory?
That's right. If your kobold manacle's been removed, feel free to put one of those in your inventory.
Is there shadows in these cells that we're in?
Shadows?
Yeah.
Yes, so it's dim light,
It's dim.
and you can get out of
Stuck in
sight.
a
So we can tell what the rogue is thinking of doing is hiding.
Yeah, I'm going to hide.
It's an action to hide. It means that you really
Oh.
focus on that. You,
I've
so,
already
you
used
have,
that.
so you have to use an action to hide. Later on, because you're rogues, when you get to be level 2, you could actually hide, as what's called a bonus
Yeah,
action.
yeah.
So, but that doesn't happen yet. So it's easier for you to hide and do something. But as rogues, I'm not intending to teach stealth now. But if you're really keen for it, and you know something about stealth, then remember that that's an option. All you need to do is be out of sight of whoever possibly cares about you, and then you're in dim light, so you can continue to be hidden even if you theoretically be seen. So stealth is definitely a thing. But all right, let me check my notes and figure out what are the odds of the bad guys coming through right now. Everybody update your status again, by the way. So show your status to each other.
You've got your shackles.
Okay.
I've got
Most of you are missing your things. Yeah. Okay.
You
So we
guys
got
are
a
still
couple
in there.
blindfolded and shackled. Are you blindfolded as well? Blindfolded
I got a
and
big
shackled.
one.
I'm ready to
I think Yeah, we got out of the thing. Oh, so stuck in it. See, we got you guys free.
Yeah.
Still closed.
Our
as
door's still
well.
closed.
Okay, I'm rolling. The chances are getting
Very
close. Like, lucky you. There was some sort of squabble that happened in the corridor. Like progress has stopped where they there's one of the kobolds says,
I heard jailbreak. What's that about jailbreak? What if they're out? What if they're out of the cells? That's dangerous. No, we're not gonna go. And the voice like, you're coming with me. We're gonna take care of this. It's like, no, we're gonna stop you. No, stop him. It's like, so there's some sort of fight breaking out the corridor, but it's not gonna last very long. Obviously, the one they're arguing with is much bigger and tougher. But thanks to the whims of the dice, you get one. You're sure this is the very last round. And let's go quick through this. One last round. What are you gonna do?
Alright, I'm gonna try and bust open the big dude's arms.
Okay.
Because I'm a dwarf.
Yeah. So you're gonna try to use your dexterity to get rid of the manacles?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a success.
Nothing
You're
wins
free.
today.
Awesome.
Now, as I go, we're gonna try to go fast. So just mention if you move. Otherwise, we'll just go bang, bang, bang around here. Okay?
I'm gonna try to rip open the bars so we can all fit through. I'm gonna use my feet on one side, my arms on the other side.
That's worth a point. See, that's good. See, I says, oh yeah, I like that. If it paints a nice picture in my head, it's okay. I'll give you an extra point. That's clever. It's a little bit
Using,
wide. You can
body
do
weight
that. Yeah,
to
exactly.
direct
Okay.
like
So you have a
that.
+1 on top of everything else with this strength check.
8, so plus 10, 11.
11. Good. Yes. Now they've wrenched open. So now there's a gap. So it's the equivalent of the doors being open. Balls go ahead and say there's sort of like a gap that you can get through, and you can choose to move through it if you like.
Great, I'm gonna go run up to my backpack.
All right. You go up to your backpack. You've used your action, so you can get
Yep.
one thing out of your backpack. Just go
I'm
and
getting
decide what that
my-
is.
I'm getting my longbow.
Okay. Good choice. Next in line. What are you gonna do?
Okay, so you're still completely,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and you've
I'm a free
still got
people
your
at least
mask
free.
on. I don't have a lot of strength, but
You
I
can take
tried.
manacles off anybody.
I can take manacles off anybody, so I might as well take yours off then.
Ah, very good. Okay, now roll dexterity anyway, because even though it might not matter, there's not many manacles left, but you get a bonus.
13
Yeah, plus some
plus
dex.
2.
Oh, you're quite dexterous for a mage. Yes, you rolled a 15, which is high enough now. You have an advantage just for the rest of this combat in removing manacles. So you always have advantage on removing manacles for the rest of this scene,
Right.
just in case it matters. You can move, of course. I'll stop reminding you, but remember, if you move, now's your time to speak.
I still can't see,
Uh,
but I guess I can feel my way to the
Mhm.
gap in the bars.
Sure, yep,
and
yeah, you
maybe
stumble your way
feel
through.
my way along towards my back.
Possibly
Yep, okay, yeah.
ask me for guidance.
Follow the
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You call it this way. No, to the left, to the right. Yeah. All right.
Mark, I pull out.
So you can get one thing out of your backpack now.
Yeah, I mean I'll grab my short sword.
Okay. You nearly stabbed yourself in the eye as you do so. All right, next in line.
All right, I'm gonna rip my mask off.
Okay. Rip your own mask off.
Rip my own mask off. Now that I've got.
Oh, your hands are free. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Let's say that. Yeah. Exactly. So that makes sense.
Oh no, don't. I almost rip an ear off.
All right. Last chance to move before we
I will
move on.
move over to from
Yep.
what I can hear people going towards the backpacks.
Yep. That's right. Okay. Great. So you're number 5 over here. You ran over and dropped it off. Okay.
And I'll pick up if I can still
Yep.
say one thing, my
Yeah.
holy symbol.
Okay. Great. You got your holy symbol ready to cast some spells. You.
Did I only pick up the lockpicks when I went to my backpack?
Because you can use an action to put everything on, but if you picked only your, I can't remember if you used an action to put on your whole backpack. I don't think you did. I think.
I
Yeah.
thought
No,
I
you
did,
did.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, who still is can't see in his area? Are you guys out?
No, I'm
No,
Are
he
you guys
can't.
like-
He can't see.
Are you guys able to get out of your cell there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got the
my
door
cell.
open.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. You would
can't
drop that
see.
backpack off. Yeah.
I can't see. And we've got medical C, medical blind, medical blind.
But
Okay.
we're squishing the boots.
Well,
If you-
you're medical blind as well,
No,
considering that
I'm not manic, that's blind, my bad.
Okay.
you're blind. Considering that you actually might have to fight first,
I couldn't move
I'm
it.
gonna basically use the tip of one of my arrows, like grab,
Ah.
pull
Yeah.
the sack taut,
Ah.
so then I'm not like cutting into their face,
Oh yeah.
and then away from their face, clip it off there.
Very good. I'll give you advantage on this. You get to roll twice, take the higher of the two. Or roll 2 dice at once is also a quicker way to do it.
15.
15, that's high enough right there.
Awesome.
Okay.
Don't
Yes.
you
So
have
you are free.
Don't you have a dagger?
No, I actually don't have a dagger. I've got a
Oh.
short sword, but
Oh.
I
Short sword's
like,
a little
I
dangerous.
like a short sword. It's gonna be like, okay, now you just cut it from
Take,
the face.
Very
take an
good.
ear off.
You have
Take
to
a nose
bend
off.
over.
Next in line, what you gonna do?
I'm gonna try and rip my own mask off.
Okay, sorry, I moved over to you. So you must have moved over there. So now you're next to number 1. I just moved you. Go ahead, rip
Can't
your own
trust
mask
yourself
off.
with anybody else.
Because your hands are free.
19.
Okay, 19. You're okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right, you are number 6. You can move if you like.
So some.
Oh, so now everybody's getting more or less mobile. So let's talk about combat tactics. You're probably going to have bad things come through at the end of this turn. When bad things come through, unsophisticated monsters will generally attack who's closest. If they're shooting at someone, they don't want to shoot at someone who's behind someone else. That makes it a harder target. If they're running up with a short sword to stab somebody, they're generally going to go to the closest person because running by someone and not hitting them puts them in danger. So this is where we teach the very basics of combat is, do you mind getting hit or not? Do you want to be hit? Remember the roles. Tanks, if you got a green or a yellow sheet, you are fighters. Your fighter class is generally you want to absorb damage. Both of you are quite good at because you've got quite a few hit points and you have something called second wind where you can give yourself hit points in the middle of a fight. There's all kinds of nice things you can do. And you also can do a lot of damage, but mostly you want to kind of stand and block the damage off of everyone else. You don't have to, right? This is D&D, but that's sort of the way that the team game often is played. If you are a rogue or a fighter, a rogue or a mage rather, you're kind of the opposite. You don't want to be near where the bad guys are coming because you can fire from a distance, you can hide, or you want to be kind of nearby where you can run and stab and then run away again, right? Because you don't have a lot of toughness compared to the other two that I mentioned. Cleric is actually quite flexible. You can handle quite a lot of damage, so you can be like the fighter and be a tank. The only problem is that you're also the only one who can heal, and that means that if you go, you don't want to be the first one to go down. You know, you want to be a little more careful with your health as it goes. And also you can cast spells at a distance, right? Some of the things you can cast at Sacred Flame, you can cast on anybody you can see, or you can run up with your weapon and hammer them. So that's, you can kind of switch back and forth between the two. So just keep that in mind as you're getting yourselves in position now and once combat starts. Who did I interrupt? It was you that just went. So yes, you can move with that stuff in mind.
So I'm gonna run to the room where everything is.
Yep, okay, yep, you're in.
But
Oh, the
so
backpack stuff, yeah.
But I just put my hands up ready to cast spells.
Ah, fantastic. Do you have your holy symbol in your backpack by now?
I do have a holy symbol.
Yes, but have you visited? Oh,
No,
your
no.
backpack was given to you? No. So you remember that unless somewhere in the story you got that backpack or you visited it, you have to actually get it from your backpack.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that. And you all mostly are sort of like, you know, once you've done your thing, we'll move you around. Okay. So now you've got your stuff. Okay.
I want to do an action to get my whole backpack.
Okay. Great. Yep. No, number 7. Yep. Okay. You've got that, and you can move anywhere you like in the room.
Oh, I don't need to roll for the action?
Nope.
Oh, sweet.
Nope. That's right. It's just easy.
Are you close to me? I want to give back your tools.
I'm
Oh, sure,
on the
yeah,
other
that's nice.
side, so I just freed. What's your name?
Brad.
Brad.
Oh,
I just
you're
freed
on
Brad.
Oh yeah. Let's yeah.
Can I go
Over there.
to the wall actually? Because
Yeah.
I want to be in the action.
Okay.
Then I'll give you back your tools.
Yep, and you've got the tools back, yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah.
So you can do that erase. So erase your 2 times 2, and you can erase that cross off there. Next.
Alright, so I'll grab my backpack now, so I've got
Okay.
all of that.
Yep, so everything's on,
And
yeah.
then I think I might move in the anticipation that something's coming up here.
Yeah.
I might
Number 8.
move down and sort
Good.
of stand to the side.
Ooh, are you
of
going to try and
that.
sort of
I'll
flatten
see-
yourself a little bit?
Yeah,
oh,
that's right,
good.
against the
Okay,
wall,
yeah,
they
you're
can come
flattened against the
through,
wall.
and
All
after A
right.
few of them come through. Kind of
Nice. Yeah, surprise them. All right.
from the side.
You next.
I'm going to stand behind the dwarf
Okay,
and
good.
I'm going to say to him, tell me what's under that trapdoor or we'll kill you.
Ooh, all right, very good. So you're interacting with the dwarf. This is a skill like anything else. You may do it well, you may be lucky, you may be unlucky. This sounds like intimidation, which is based on your charisma. So your chaw here, your charisma is not too. Charisma's you're not the most charming person, but that's okay. You got a
Well,
minus
you can
1.
try to kill him, so
You're-
I mean-
yeah.
Very rough.
That's intimidation, right?
Yeah.
You might have a special skill, perception, survival, yeah, but so that you can get a bonus on certain things. But yeah, you haven't really learned the art of talking. You spend a lot of time in nature, you know.
Yes.
So okay, but it's only a couple points. That's still a great idea. I suggest you just go and give it a go anyway.
Okay.
Okay, all right, good. So roll
Oh, I got a
9 minus 1. Yeah. So so he looks at you very dismissively, and he says, for the first time you hear his voice clearly, he says, "Job, do." He waves his hand sort of dismissively. Yeah, he seems to have given up on the jailbreak thing, and he's sort of marching around. His head is down. He looks very dispirited, you know. He's like, "Job to do." So you haven't broken through his shell of his personality in order to get him to do anything that you like. But anybody could try again, or you could try again next time. You.
Okay, I'm going to go over to where Maria is. You've still got your shackles on now.
I do.
And
And I'm hiding.
I'm going to take her shackles off.
Okay. Yep.
14 and 7.
Oh.
I think you have perma shackles, don't you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So permanently good at it, so you could roll twice and take the higher of the two.
Oh,
But that's okay.
they're off
That's
anyway.
fine. Yes,
Yeah.
your shackles are off.
And then I'm going to move down to where the backpacks are.
Yep.
And
Sure, that's fine. Yep. Yeah, you can
Yeah.
do that. Move the action. Move the backpack. Yep. And you can get one thing out of the backpack.
I'll grab a rapier.
Okay.
But I'm staying down in the dark down there.
Okay.
I'm not going
Yeah, it's dim light everywhere, but yeah.
Close
it's okay. Unless the dice are especially kind to you. Oh no, they're coming in. All right, here we go. So the monsters start flooding into the room. We'll take. I'll describe the scene, and then we'll take a little bit of a stretch break, just halfway
Just
through,
before
like
you
that
do,
sort of thing.
who's still got stuff on? You're still got your eyes covered.
Mm-hmm.
You got all of
Everything else is free. Just these two.
I should have ran across to you
It's
guys.
just,
gear.
All right,
just
all
shove
right.
them in a corner and
So
then
remember your main
sit.
agenda in the combat. So because the adrenaline's high, things will go much faster. Where all you need to do is like basically spend one turn
Didn't
to
you
get
run up to
completely
the door?
okay.
I've got my holy symbol, but it's because I fumbled around blindly from him.
All right.
In my bag.
You have a chance to talk during the break as well, so it's great to talk tactics during the break. Let me
Yeah.
set the scene, and they can sort of plan out from there. You have these things running in before combat starts. All right. So you see a goblin. This is a very especially big, tough-looking goblin, and he is obviously the torturer because he is dragging the half-orc behind him, and the half-orc is bloodied, just like the other people that you've seen. Semi-conscious. He's not going to be able to help out with the fight. I'm not going to use a heart.
So he's a hobgoblin, is he?
He's a half orc. This is not a hobgoblin. He's especially beefy, strong-looking goblin. He
Right.
seems to be sort of a boss there.
Seems
So
like he'll kill you.
yeah. Now we will start off with this little situation here. I think it's going to be good. But he was not the first one through. So if you're going to jump at somebody, it's going to be one of the kobolds coming through. I won't arrange them, but we have kobolds. And they come flooding through. So as they come into the room, I'll move them, but they're going to get everywhere. They're pulling out their crossbows, and they have short swords. Some of them are going to be rushing up to you with short swords. Some of them are going to be using their crossbows on you. And then the boss here is going to have a couple kobold friends along with him. So that sort of sets the scene. Bunch of monsters coming in. You can then start to talk about, here are all the monsters that will eventually come in. Talk about, what are your general tactics in the combat. If you have any problems, if you're bound or shackled or blindfolded, don't have your stuff on the first round of combat, you have to basically spend your first turn just doing that, and then you'll be totally back to normal. We won't do all those shenanigans anymore. So the fact that you're not quite ready just means you miss out on the first round of combat, but you can still position yourself somewhere in the room. So think about where in the room you want to be. I'm not going to commit to where the monsters are. Just say just before as they rush in, this is now your position, and then figure out how you're going to split up this combat. And we'll take a little 5-minute break. You can use the loo. All right, if you don't mind, I'll take a picture of my own. These guys are taking pictures, but I have my own sort of, my website and stuff. So there's no need to pose. Just, do whatever you're doing.
Go ahead and talk to someone.
This is how I normally look.
Okay, I think I'm ready. You all ready? Everybody good?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. For the next slide, so the next slide will be, next slide, please.
Dixie drumsticks.
Yeah. All right, so this is what we call a set piece combat. So this is combat, proper combat. So every combat you've had before now is a bit hand wavy. This is very close to real D&D combat. Now you don't have to understand everything on your sheet. I'll definitely give you options. Some of your main things are going to be the weapons you can use. So everybody has a chance to use weapons, and some additionally have the choice to use spells. In the middle here is where you have your weapon options. And you can see that next to your weapon, you have what's called an attack bonus. Well, guess what? You roll a d20 and you add that number. The number you're trying to reach, you want it to be as high as possible, but this time it's the AC, the armor class of who you're hitting. Armor class is just how hard they are to hit, which is a physical hit. And that might be explained by they have tough hide, they might have armor, or they might be very fast on their feet. So kobolds might have a high AC because they can dodge out of the way really easily, not because they're little tanks full of armor. The goblin boss, however, is quite heavily armored with a chain shirt. So just at a glance, you think he's got quite high AC, right? So he has a harder chance to hit. However, that's not the only thing you can do to things. Your spells, for example, so when I'm talking about hit, that's hitting with a sword or with an arrow, goes against the AC. However, you might have spells. Your spells, for you casters, usually force them to take what's called a saving throw. So I'll get to that, but like Sacred Flame that the clerics use, you force them to do a dexterity saving throw. So someone who's really well armored, you can shoot them with an arrow and not be very successful, but if you try to make them jump out of the way, maybe they're so heavily armored they're not very light on their feet. So maybe using Sacred Flame against somebody who, first of all, you can do it at a distance, a safe distance, and also maybe this goblin boss is not so good at dodging that sort of thing. So I've explained sort of whether you've got a rapier or a great axe or a javelin, they're all basically those sort of things. Some things can be thrown or fired. Once you do it, you'll do damage. So once you hit with one of those weapons, it says damage on the next column over, and you'll roll a funny looking die. If it's something like 1d12 or 1d8, I'll give you one of those when it's your turn. So don't worry about that as we go. You can on your turn, if you're really worried about, like, hey, I'm nearly dead, I'm going to let other people take the hits, mostly just get away from the trouble. Like, these are the kind of monsters that are pretty much going to go for the obvious target in front of them, or the one that's aggravating them the most, who's done the worst damage to them or seems to be the biggest threat. You can just move away. However, monsters are a little bit sticky. As you move away from monsters, they can get a free swipe at you, so that's sort of a tactical thing I'll talk about. Unless you do an action called disengage. It means like I'm going to spend my whole concentration on getting away safely. I can't attack, but at least I can get away safely. So that's why disengage is listed there. Yeah?
Can anyone do disengage?
Yes, anybody can disengage. Or if you're being very defensive and you're already safe, but you just don't want to be shot, you can do dodge. Everybody can do dodge. That means that everything is disadvantaged to hit you. That's if you're worried. However, this is a team, and they're going to make moves and you make moves. So this is where you need to lean into the. I advise you lean into it a bit, and put yourself in some danger. Because if everybody plays safe, then these guys just pick you off one by one. So be aggressive is sometimes a good
One of
thing.
your clerics better watch that warrior that's up there by himself too, right in that doorway, because he's got 3 near him.
All right, very good. Yes, we'll get stuck right in. Also, this is a game. This is fun. Paint the cinema in your head. Remember, you are not your character. You can have a lot of fun with your character taking terrible damage. It's not you personally taking damage. If your character even dies, if you get to 0 hit points, you're in trouble. You're not automatically dead, you'll find, but you're definitely in trouble, and you have a very good chance of dying from that point on, and we'll take that as we go.
So what are the different coloured?
So everything yellow and brown is a kobold. They are
Okay, the
small
yellow and brown,
reptilian creatures of the kind you saw before, and they have both things that they can use from range, the crossbow, and little swords and daggers. The big purple skull is a goblin boss. He also is basically made about as tall as a child, but much burlier and tougher looking. So he's still a small creature, but he's got enough height that he can fire over the heads of the kobolds, for example. And that's something that will affect the stats a little bit as well. Okay. Oh, I like to show pictures. Since we're doing well for time, I'll show you what these things. No, it won't be up there. I'll show it on my laptop. I'll brighten up the screen a little bit. So much good art is made that it's a shame not to show it. Goblins look like this.
Oh.
Oh, red eyes. Remember, they're small but very dangerous looking. Yeah. So that's the boss in the middle, and he's maybe even burlier because he's got a chain shirt on, like the bare-chested one that you saw there. The kobolds, as you recall from the intro, look like this, but it's all we're painting pictures. Kobolds look like this, but these are gray. They're sort of like a splotchy brown and gray all over their skin. And they have crossbows instead of a sling. Sort of mechanical crossbows. They seem a little fairly sophisticated. All right, it is their turn, so we're going to have them make some moves for a change. Now I'm going to be rolling with my computer just because it makes it faster, but I'm rolling honestly. It's not like I'll say I'll never cheat a roll if I feel like I want to sculpt the story, but that's too much thinking. I generally, when I'm in combat, I generally let the dice decide, so we'll go with that. Now, I've already sort of decided what their targets are, so on their turn, normally I'd say, okay, it's their turn, the monster's turn. I would move them all into the room, and then they would each attack. So each of them gets a move and attack. What I've done, because of the break and I wanted to save some time, there's so many different targets, I've sort of pre-moved them, but they haven't quite attacked yet. So imagine that on my turn, I've started sliding these through. And a couple interesting things happen based on your position. For one thing is, this one here, it once is heading for the side of the goblin boss, but who is number 8? You? You've been hiding there waiting for that. You get to surprise the kobold if you've been good at stealth. Roll a quick stealth because you're trying to be quiet and in the shadows, so you can get advantage. So roll your d20, add your stealth bonus, which is just your dexterity. I don't think stealth is listed. You're
Okay,
not trained,
so
so
that'll
it's
be
just
15.
dexterity. 15. That is good enough because they have basically a score that if you exceed it, they don't notice you. You surprise this kobold as you go through, and you slash at him. Roll 2 d20s because basically it's this opportunity
highest
attack,
one.
and take the higher of the two.
15.
Okay, now you rolled a 15, so keep that one. What do you add to it is your weapon. So what kind of weapon
Plus
do you have?
4,
there?
so that's 19.
And what kind of sword? What kind of
It's a
weapon?
great sword.
Yeah, so you have a huge sword,
2d6.
and you just time it just right, just whack across there, and you manage to hit the kobold, even though he tries to jump out of the, she tries to jump out of the way, and you do your damage. Please roll your damage, which is next to the great sword. Tell me what the G is.
2d6.
Okay, D6s. So that's a D6.
2.
Just plus 2. No, we'll just roll twice. I don't have that many dice. 1 plus 2. It's a damage roll.
Plus
Huh?
2 is 5.
3, exactly. So you do a little bit of math. Those 2 dice added together plus the bonus. All these numbers make sense. We can go into, especially if you come early, I can explain
just
the
annoyed
math,
you.
like why is it a plus 3, not a plus 4, all that stuff. That all has to do with your stats, so I won't explain that now, but just trust me on that one, or trust the sheet. So that your total damage was how much against the kobold?
5.
It dies!
Oh, what?
It's
Yes.
just enough.
One hit takes that kobold out.
One down.
Nice. Okay, so that happened on the way through. That's what's called a reaction. Because, as I said, if something moves past you or you move past them, they can get a free shot at you and you surprise them. And that was a great one. Now I'm going to discuss these two. These two are running by number 9, which is you. They're not going to move so far that you get to take a free shot at them, but you can basically kind of get in their way and try to look intimidating. If you want to be more tanky and protect the people back there, I'm going to say that if you make yourself look dangerous, they're not going to want to go past you. They want to attack you instead of your friends. So, this is something that's, not all monsters do this, but I'm going to give you the choice as to whether these two, or you can decide one at a time. Let's go with this one. This one is trying to get past you. Do you try to step in its way and have it attack you, or do you let it through to attack somebody back there? And I'll tell you who.
The problem is, I don't have any weapons.
That's number 6.
And they all do.
Ah, okay, that's right. That's
That's
right.
number 6.
What, this one here?
No, the one that you're standing next to.
Mm-hmm. This is number 9.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
you
a
put the
9.
marks at the top, do you?
Yeah,
not
that's
at the
right. Yeah,
bottom?
because they're supposed to hang
Oh,
on to the
okay.
pegs, I think. But thank you for that. I very much could make that mistake, so thank you for pointing that out.
Oh, yeah.
So as number 9, so you decide, you don't have any weapons, but you can still take a hit, You can still absorb the damage that might be going to someone else, because she's got her sword drawn and she's heading towards somebody back there.
Okay, I could try and trip.
Yeah, well, you could just get in the way. You'll get hit. Yeah, you'll get hit. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I can do that and try
Yeah,
and.
you're gonna be a hero and
okay.
take the hit.
All right.
Okay, so she's heading towards somebody back there. You realize the last second as you get in the way, the one that she was heading for, so you know who to be thankful is you. So she's heading for number 7 over here. Oh no, I think number 6 is heading for you, number 6. So you're protecting number 6 by taking that hit. The kobold turns on you and uses this scimitar to try to slash, this dagger to slash at you. It is a 21. That is higher than your AC, which is 14. So you do take some damage.
Where's my what's the AC? Where's that?
Yep,
Oh,
14.
okay.
My damage is a D4, so it's a random number from 1 through 4, and I get to add 2. I rolled a 4. So 6. You take 6 points of damage. Woo! Weird, this fight has really started, but that is something that would have downed somebody else perhaps. And you've got something on your action, you've got something called Second Wind. You can give yourself hit points next time, so keep that in mind. As a matter of fact, Second Wind, let me look at that, as a bonus
1d10.
action. Yeah, you'll be able to do that and attack, so that's fine. But it would be good to get your weapons. Once this turn is over, think about how to get your weapons. All right, that happened, so that one's now engaged with you. The same thing is with number 3. Number 3 is also running towards somebody else. That is running towards 6, 7, 8. I've really not done this properly. 6, 7, 8. Where's number 8? Number 8 was over here.
At the door.
Yeah. Let's change that. Sorry for the delay. That one was going for number 6. So let's go and swap that. Right, and I know that the other one was going for maybe number 4. No, let's call this, sorry, 6, 7. Who's else over there? Yeah, number 6, number 4. Number 10. So we'll swap that. This one is headed for number 10. You.
I was hoping to hide.
You are going to run. Now you can say, I'll take that hit too, but you might feel a little beaten up and say, okay, let's just let this one through.
I'm unconscious at the moment on the floor.
Okay, yeah, you're nearly unconscious. So you say, nope, I think you're on your own, buddy. This one moves through, sort of passes through here, stands over this way. Let's just say they sort of change their path and they see that you're not intimidating anyone, and goes for you. Now, I'm being a little loosey-goosey. There's just so many players. I'm sort of speeding this up, even though I didn't go very fast just then. So, takes a swing at you, lucky you, with its dagger. I'm rolling, and I get a 16, which is a middling
That's a
one.
hit.
That's a hit, because your armor class is only 14.
Yeah.
Now, that wouldn't have hit some of you. Now you can see the roll of the tank, right? If you had an AC of 18 or 17, it would have gone off the armor. But you are not quite so armored, so the damage goes to you. You are pierced by its dagger, but I rolled quite low this time, so you get 3 points of damage. So again, it's all just the math. I rolled a d4, but this time it rolled with a 1. Okay, all right. So now I'm just going to sort of go through everybody else. Number 1 over here ran past, wasn't really obscured by anything, and is going for you. Trying to stab you with the dagger.
I'm right next to him.
Okay, all right, yep.
Now I get the sneak attack.
Yes, on your turn.
On my turn, yeah.
It rolls a 21, which I believe is higher than anybody's armor class in here.
Ian's trying to kill us.
I know. You take 4 points of damage. Oh boy. Okay, fantastic. This one, number 5 over here, it really can't get past number 1. You sort of blocked it off, and this door is still closed. The goblin boss calls over to the ghost over here, and says, "Damn it, open that door!" He commands to the ghost. I'm going to openly roll this to see how persuasive is he towards the. Oh yeah, 17. So he persuades the ghost, and the ghost is going to start the process. He starts stomping on the floor, and his feet sort of turn solid, and he's twisting his feet around these holes that are there, and he seems to be also like doing a sort of combination lock that he's seeing. And once the ghost is done, you're guessing this door will successfully open. But for right now, the door isn't open, so this thing's trying to stab at you, number 5, you. But it's through the bars, so it's not going to be a very easy shot for it to do, and it clangs off of the bars. It does not manage to, so you are not damaged because the door is open. That will be different later on. So I've done that one, I've done that one. This one over here has moved around, sort of, it can't move there, it's moved there. It's next to you, by the way, but it's deciding to try to shoot at somebody. It's going to shoot at you. I've got some pre-designations here. You are number 3, but because it's firing all the way across, you've got some friends in the way, so your armor class is effectively 2 higher. No, it can't hit you, but the fact that you're standing there helps protect your friend, so your armor class is a little bit higher for that. And now I'm going to roll for its missile attack. It fires a crossbow. Very interesting. It is an 18. Now, normally that would hit you. What is your AC?
12.
Oh,
plus
12.
2
No,
is
sorry.
14.
Oh, so even with your friend's help, no, you are hit by that as it goes through. You take 3 points of piercing damage. Crossbow bolt goes into you. 1, 2, 3. This one over here. Yep. This one over here, the brown one, is going to go for 6, 7, 8, 9. Number 9. No, we haven't gone to number 9. This one is going to fire at number 4 in the back, though it's going to have, so you, but it's going through too many people, and it ends up getting a 16, which I don't think is high enough compared to your 8 course. All right, you got some friends in the way. This one over here is, yeah, so this one over here, the goblin, the boss over here, calls to that one and says, "Get over here!" and is gesturing to his side. He's pointing the side, but this one basically has refused. That was sort of that distraction that caused him to miss. He's trying to load the crossbow, and he kind of drops his crossbow. This kobold looks very fearful. He's just sort of, is there, if you fired a bit, but is every time he sort of edges away from the goblin boss just sort of like takes a hand and pulls him closer, right next to him. You're not sure what that's about. All of my monsters have taken a turn apart from the goblin boss himself. Goblin boss is sort of waiting to, what should he do? All right. He's going to try to intimidate all of you as he sort of gets ready. He says, "All of you get back in your cells, you're all gonna die here. This is your last warning." He's jingling with these torture implements at his side. They're dripping blood. He's armored. He's intimidating. He's trying to get you to back down. I don't suggest that you back down, but maybe for a moment you might think your character, or is it the moment where you think like, this is too scary, you know, some of us are being hit, you know, do you comply? This is a bit of a group vote, right? Raise your hand if you want to go back in your cells peacefully. It can be honest, thing.
I'm dying myself.
3, 2, 1, okay, all right, you're not gonna do that. That was your last chance, as he says. And we are now moving around in initiative order. I'm not going to go clockwise around the table because it's not quite fair. Some of you are faster than others, so I'm going to do an initiative roll. Now, normally, everybody roll initiative. Roll a d20 and add your dexterity bonus. About half the podcasts in the world use the word initiative. It's a fun word.
I got 5.
Yeah, just go and say it out loud. I'll ask for each of you as you go. Okay. As you do this, normally I'd say whoever's the highest goes first, the next highest goes second, third highest goes third in order, right? But with this many people, it's just too jumbled. So I do a sped up version of it. Who has the highest number? Everybody say your numbers to each other. Who has the highest number of all of you?
17, 9,
18.
5.
If I do.
18.
Okay. Who has the second highest number?
17.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll start with you and we'll go counterclockwise so it gets
Sorry,
to you.
16.
Okay. Anybody else tied with 16 or?
Yeah, I'm tied with 16.
Okay, that makes sense that you keep going. So start with you and then we'll go counterclockwise. Once everybody's gone, right, you get to fight, you get to use spells, you get to try to eliminate these enemies, and then it's my turn again. And I've got everybody in position, so I'm gonna have fun. Your turn.
I need a weapon. I need my weapon.
Right, sorry. So if you have, and you're on your honor because I haven't kept track of that, if you've already gotten your whole backpack or you've at least gotten a weapon, don't worry about it. But if you've got a blindfold or shackles, or you don't have your stuff, you have to spend the first turn. You can move wherever you like, but you have to spend your turn just getting free of all combat. By the time you're done, you'll have all of your stuff. But if you have an item in your hand, like a weapon, you can, or you can decide, no, I'm just going to stand in the way.
So who's still shackled?
Yeah, you can. It's just that you'd be using your action to free that person, which would be fine, and that'd be nice of you. But you know, you're giving up an action so that she doesn't have to give up an action. But if you think, oh, she's going to be much more useful in battle than you are, you can say, yeah, I'm going to spend my action just
I
free.
need to go and get my weapon from my.
Okay, yeah, so you're going to decide to do that. Okay, right, so you are number 9.
Yeah.
Yep, so you're going to run away. This thing here, of course, because you're in the front line, this thing is going to consider taking a free swipe at you as you go because you have to move away. Because you want to have your action ready in order to do that. So I get to take a free shot at you. This is called an attack of opportunity, an opportunity attack that it does.
I don't have a lot of strength left.
Okay, this is a 12?
No.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. Your armor scratches your leather armor, but you manage to get away. Now you've got your backpack. You are totally ready to rock. You can move somewhere else if you like. Do you want to move after you can complete your move any other way?
I'm gonna run back out and
Yep.
try and defend these guys.
Ah, very good. Which ones?
Well, maybe over here.
Yeah, okay, sure. Yeah. So we normally have to worry about how to pick your way through, but let's not do this. Yeah, you're going to try to get behind this and make sure that these
Yeah.
are not so threatened. Good for you, warrior. Next in line.
All right, I'm going to take
Oh,
on the.
remember your second wind? You can do that now. So
Okay.
as a bonus action, it's rare. Even at level 1, you can do cool stuff as a
It's in
fighter.
here, so
You just called a bonus
1d10
action. It's a
plus
bonus
1.
thing you can do during your turn. And you can do what's called a second wind. All right. Once per, you do 1d10 plus your fighter level, which is 1. A d10 is a very funny looking die. Has 10 sides. Roll that one. And a 0 is a 10. Good roll.
Nice
9.
roll.
10. You
Plus one.
get 10 hit points back. So now
Yes.
add 10 hit points, but you can't go above your maximum.
No, so
That must
yeah,
make you
okay,
totally
it's
okay. Hey, all right.
Yeah, you can't go past.
Warriors for the win. You can only do that once. You have to do a
That's a good
short
die.
rest before
That's
that
a good
happens
roll.
again. Okay, you're next.
I want to take on this goblin leader.
Okay,
I
number
think I
8,
need to
yeah.
Take him out, and maybe that'll scare the
Sure.
pants off everyone else.
That's right, that's right. Okay, so this guy is standing in this doorway. You have a mild choice here. This one here, well, this one has a bow and arrow, so it doesn't seem to be very threatening. So if you move away, this one might, doesn't have a dagger to stab you with. So you think you're pretty safe moving here. And then you got a nice clear shot at the goblin boss.
Yep. Okay, that's.
But is there any more coming down that?
You do hear some feet, but there's more like an alarm being called. And so, it's hard in combat to know how quickly others will be added in. All right, what do you do?
So I'm going to swing my greatsword at the back.
Hurrah! That's right.
So
Now,
I'm behind him. Does that make a difference?
no, with this, everybody, and this applies to you too. You have sort of 360-degree awareness during combat. If you're a rogue, you can explicitly hide, and you do get an advantage, and you get a sneak attack bonus. You would get, if you're a rogue, you get sneak attack bonus if you had a friend nearby, but neither of those apply. So this is just a good old-fashioned hit. A one-time d20, you add your sword bonus.
5 plus 4 is 9.
Okay, and this is where we paint the word picture, right? So 4 is not very good. 9 is so low that he is aware of you coming. Your sword is a little bit heavy in your hands, and as it arcs down, he steps out of the way and bang, it hits the brick, so you're unable to. You can keep moving, but I suggest you stay there. What do you do?
Oh gosh. So the door's not open yet on the west side.
That's right. No, it's not. The ghost is comes later in the turn.
Okay.
Are you sure?
We have a hole in it, I think.
There's a hole.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can move in and out of the hole, but the door, which I said was protecting there. Yeah.
Okay, so I was wondering how I got back through.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's a hole. I'm gonna roll the ghost initiative. Okay. I know when the ghost is gonna move. The ghost might open that door at any time, but not
So
now.
the little guy in the hole, is he through the hole?
Yeah, he's basically standing partway through the hole, but it's like enough of a gap that he's small and he's able to fight unhindered.
So a lot of him is through the hole.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Can I try and shoot him with my bow from where I'm standing?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you're number 7 over here. Yeah, that's perfect. You're kind of shooting through your friends here, so this guy's got a slightly higher armor class. It's just the way things work.
Are you sure? Because I might do a sneak attack with him.
Okay.
Oh, that's fine. You can both. I think you can both do that. Yeah.
Okay.
I suggest you fire. It gives you a chance of
get
hitting
a
more.
sneak attack anyway.
Yeah, because of this awkward angle, it's just he's
Oh,
a
yeah.
little harder to hit. Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Please do roll that with your bonus for the bow.
So a 9 plus a 5.
Oh, good. 14.
Yay.
That is his armor class. So his armor class is a little higher because of that, but that's still enough to hit him. Roll your damage now. This is against number 1.
17.
Sorry, I didn't explain. So show me what
No.
that is. Yeah, so your bow has
Your
got
damage roll.
D6.
Oh, it's D6, sorry.
So I'll give you one of those. I'll give you your own D6 as well, or feel
I
free.
got one.
Okay, whoever you gave that up, so you can get to keep that for now.
4.
Yep, plus something. No, you just roll it once.
4 plus 3.
4 plus 3, 7. That is enough to kill the kobold.
Yes.
Down it goes. Very good. Yeah, thwap, an arrow. You know, this person dodges out of the way at the last second, so the arrow brushes right by you, hits the kobold in the chest, and the kobold flaps over dead. Next is you.
I would like to cast Bless.
Okay, good. Bless is a spell. Now, it's one of those things you can cast only a certain number of times a day, so it's a big thing, but it does great things. You get to pick a few people. What does it say? How many people do you get to pick?
Three nearby.
Okay, so 3 people, they'll get bonuses on all of their saving throws and their attacks.
Is that me in the back corner?
You are number 6, which is you there.
You're hiding.
So
Yeah.
I cast Bless on the three closest then.
Fantastic. All right, so that would be number 10. Hold on to that. That means you're blessed. Number 4 is you down there. Yep, you're blessed. And number 2, which is you.
Added before to any of the savings.
Yeah.
They're always so hard to find. They hide, they hide, they hide. That's a terrible one. Okay.
To go into the corners of the.
Yes. All right. So when it's your turn to attack or saving throw, if you have a 4-sided die, remember that because the blessing is there. You are concentrating on this bless. If you take damage, you have a chance of it interrupting your spell. So this makes you more of a backline, cleric. You can use your Sacred Flame, you can cast other spells, but in the back of your mind, you're concentrating on bless, and you kind of want to avoid being hit. It's good for you to be back there. Good job, cleric. Next is you.
What's with that nearby kobold? He's trying to get through? Or
Yes, it's striking at you, but through the bars, it means that you have a slightly higher, it has disadvantage maybe, or maybe it's a higher armor class. He hasn't quite
Alright.
figured it out yet.
I'm going to
Or-
attack
yeah.
him.
Okay.
Is it 20?
Oh wait, this is a great coincidence. You're just getting ready, like it's gonna be hard to get through those doors, and Torg says, "Oh, I did it!" And the door swings open. So luckily, you get a free shot at this one without the interference. So this one is now like getting. He's getting ready to get. He's like hiding behind the bars, like, oh, which way am I gonna go? I'm gonna go left or go right, and the door it opens up, and the kobold looks very worried as you swing your sword. Go ahead.
It's a 2.
Oh, if you rolled a 2, no matter what you add to it, maybe you're adding 5, but it's not enough. As it is, overly confident, you swing ahead, but the kobold sort of backed away because the door's kind of gotten close to him, and just out of bad timing, you're not able to get a blow in. Next is you.
So I've still got I'm blind.
That's right, so you can use your turn to completely get rid of everything that's wrong with you. You'll have all of your stuff, and you won't be blind anymore, but you don't get to act this turn because people just didn't help you.
Cool. And can I still move though?
Yes, you can move wherever you like, yeah.
So can I move up to the kobold farthest to that side?
Over here?
Yep.
All right, yeah, the one that's shooting, yeah. Yes, right, the one that was ordered to come over here and hasn't been doing so. I see, that's clever. All right, very good. You move and you physically block things. So it cannot move past you unless it uses its strength. That's to use an action to get past you. So position really matters quite a lot in D&D. These are all 5-foot squares, which is basically 1.5 meters or so. But you kind of dominate that space. So it's a really good position to be in. It's the tactical part of it. All right, that was you. Next is you.
Okay, so I'm using my turn to take off my shackles and my mask.
Very good. Yep, you're all free of everything. Yep.
And does that mean, so I've got my whole backpack?
Yeah, you got your
too,
backpack, you got
as well?
everything
Yeah,
now. You're just like
pretty much
everybody
about
else. Yeah, but you can position yourself as a result. Number 3.
Yep. I feel like I need to run away because I do not have many hit points.
Yep,
and
that's fair,
Then
yeah.
I'm going to have some magic, so I don't necessarily need to be near things. So maybe if I just run to the closest corner.
Yep, sure. Yep. You can run inside the cell and
Yeah, that's
be
a good
back
idea.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah. So yeah, you can run here because these dots. Also, this one can't really go at you. So that's a nice safe spot. All right. Okay. So you'll be back in the action next time. At least you're in good position. That's you.
Normally I'd go up to the ones next to me,
Mhm.
but I've got less right now, so maybe
Yeah.
I should take a shot at the leader.
Okay. All right. You do. So you have a bow. Yes, you're very good with your bow, and you aim at the leader. It's a clear shot. You have the best possible chance.
Yeah, I'm also
Roll.
like right in front of them, so.
Yeah, so you're going to roll a d20 and the d4 together and add on your bow bonus. This is how the bless works.
I do one at a time, did it?
Sure.
14 on
That's
that
good.
one.
The number on the bottom is the 3. See how the 3? No, not the bottom. Set it down. You see that? This is a weird one. They're not all like this. See how the 3 is,
Oh,
the
yeah,
right way up?
okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's an odd one.
Yeah, so that's 17 there.
Great.
Plus
Plus-
my-
Plus
You've
7. You've definitely
That is
hit
a
it.
fantastic shot.
So that's like 22.
It is right on target. You see it heading
Straight
right
through the
between his
eyeballs.
eyes, which is why you are shocked and horrified when he picks up the kobold next to him and holds the kobold up in front of him, and the arrow goes through the kobold's head.
Does it at least scratch him?
He does, yeah. The tip of the arrow, as he throws it down, like it poked all the way through, and there's like this nasty scar, but it doesn't. Actually, he rolled so high. I'm going to take 1 point off the goblin boss. Yeah, so he's wounded 1. You see what a good story can do? It's like, yeah, I like that story. I'll buy that. And he throws the kobold down dead at his feet. The other kobold's like, oh! The kobolds look really quite shocked and upset. And he points to like, 2 more over here, he says. So you see that he has got a surprising defense. Too bad. It's a beauty of a shot. I didn't have you roll damage, but I could tell that they're on a high streak. Yeah, that kobold's as good as dead. That was you. Next is you.
Okay.
And then it'll be you. And then
Yep.
my turn.
Can I try and put the big dude to sleep?
Yes, sleep. So what sleep is a spell that you fill an area with magical energy. And it's a 20-foot radius, and you have no choice but to affect everybody in that radius. But you can like put it over here, so it just like gets this guy included. There's almost no way to not include number 8 here, by the way. But it's only magical.
Just think about this.
Yeah.
Did you get a good night's
Unless you're an
sleep?
elf, no, yeah, an elf would be immune to sleep.
Is number 8 an elf?
No.
But it
So you have-
specifically says a group of foes, though.
Yeah, it's a group of foes, but you can go ahead and position it. If you really want to put this guy to sleep, I think your best bet is to do this. The thing is, whoever has the least number of hit points absorbs all the sleep first, and only the leftover magical power affects the boss. And I'm not going to tell you. All you know is you roll 5 d8s, so you can figure out mathematically what your average is going to be. I'm going to use those d8s on number 8 first, and number 8 would start to fall asleep, and then whatever's left over would go to the goblin boss. Yeah, so sleep is a bit of a messy spell. It's good doing a lot of. If you cast it here, you could maybe put all the kobolds to sleep, right? So you put 3 kobolds to sleep at the same time, or you can go after the boss. So it's good for large numbers of friends and enemies.
Alright, I'm not gonna do that.
All right. You have a few other options though.
I'll keep him awake.
All right. You have something like magic missile. So magic
I was
missile
just
is
about to
guaranteed to
ask
hit.
that.
Yeah.
Hits without,
Yeah. So you don't have to roll for magic missile. It just
It
does
just- it
damage. It's
hits.
great against armored creatures. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll magic missile him.
Okay, all right. So you cast a spell again. You only have a limited number. Oh, who cast Bless? As you wrote it down, next to your spell, it says something about your spell casting. Just write the word cast, and then put Bless under it. You'll eventually keep track of spell slots, so you can do 2 of these a day, and you use 1 of your 2. So you can do it as like a filled-in circle or something, but mostly just remember what you've cast. You're the same with Magic Missile.
Yeah.
You can cast 3 a day if you have a short rest somewhere along the way. So just keep track. So you've cast Magic Missile. Very good. You get to use those D4s in another way. Can he borrow your D4?
You can have this one, I've got mine.
Oh, great. Thank you. All right.
Cool.
So Magic Missile. You cast, you do your arcane things, you clutch the spell focus, and bam, 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 these glowing bolts go at the goblin boss. He reaches for the air instinctively to see if somebody else can take the hit, but there's nobody around him. He tries to grab at you, number 8, but you're like, oh, I'm not, not me, man. Yeah, exactly. I'm not one of your kobolds. So roll that damage 3 times.
Alright, so the first one does add +1, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So the quick way to do is just roll this 3 times, then add 3. So you got 2 plus 2 is 4. Plus 4 is 8. Plus another 3 is 11 points of damage. He takes all of that damage. I'm like, bam, 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 bam. He gets rocked backwards. He starts to stream with blood. Once somebody is damaged enough that they have half of their hit points gone, they're called with bloodied. And the first bolt, second bolt, was like your armor started getting a bit wrecked, but he just kind of opened up as he wavered, and then there's one getting like right under the chin, and he's bleeding down his neck very badly. So you know that last shot is what put him under half of his points, and we're still going. All right, it's your turn.
Okay, so I'm going to go this kobold that attacked me.
Yeah.
I'm down
Yeah,
here.
all
So
right,
I'm going to go this one that's attacked me.
Sure. Yep. You got an open shot.
Because I can't hide because he's already attacked me.
Yeah, he's a little hard to hide from.
Plus I've got
Bless.
the bless.
All right. So you pull a long sword, I believe. What's the kind of sword you have?
No, a rapier.
A rapier, which is a very fast, quick weapon.
I've
He's
got
using
2
his
rapiers
dexterity.
actually.
Oh, okay. So we'll get into that in a second.
Dual wield.
Yeah.
You can do wield. Yep.
15, 16,
Yep.
21.
21. That's plenty to hit the kobold. Roll your damage against the kobold. That's with
Okay.
the first hit. Rolled only a 1.
A 1.
Plus something
Plus
maybe.
3.
Plus 3. 4 is not quite enough. This kobold is wounded and nearly dead and
But I'm
bleeding.
going to take my bonus, which
Yeah.
is 2 weapon fighting.
That's right. With the
So I'm
second
gonna hit
weapon,
him
so
with the second
instead of
weapon.
having a shield, like some of you have a shield in a hand, some of you have a 2-handed weapon. He has 2 different weapons. It means he can use his bonus action to take a second shot. It doesn't do quite as much damage, but might be enough to finish off the kobold. D20 on this one.
Oh, D20 for that.
Yep,
yeah.
D20 to do the hit. With the bless as
And-
well.
With the bless.
Yep. What's the number?
2, 9, 14.
Ah, good. 14's more like it. You hit that kobold. Roll your damage, buddy. It should be a very, very good one. Chop, chop.
1.
This kobold, that's
Again.
all that it took. This kobold is dead. Nice one. 1-2 punch.
There's your bless thing back.
All right.
Don't you need the
I
bless
think you
back?
keep it.
no, you
How
keep it.
many
Nope.
rounds does that stay?
The whole for a minute.
Oh,
As
a
long
minute.
as he's
Okay.
concentrating. Yeah, that's
Fantastic.
one. As a matter of fact,
Keep that then.
the
Someone
goblin
jump
boss
in
starts giving orders like, hit that one! You two, come to me! And so basically, it's the kobolds, the kobolds' turn as they go. I think though, does he want to move? No, I think he turns around and says, and I warned you, and turns around to number 8. So a couple
See
things
that
happen.
coming.
The kobolds go first. All right. So this kobold moves away from you, number 2. You get a free shot, so you get a free attack as this one moves into position. Roll
and
your.
I
Just has to be whatever's in your
bless or-
hand. Yeah, if your sword is in your hand, I assume
Bow.
it is. Your bow. So you can only punch.
Oh,
So,
okay.
but go ahead and roll as if you're using your sword. It would be the same bonus. 8 plus your bonus.
4, so 12.
12 is just enough. So you hit him. You only do 1 point when you punch, plus your strength bonus. So you do 3 points of damage, which against a kobold is pretty good. You wound the kobold just by cracking him or kicking him or something like that. All right, so that's that one.
Rat muscles.
The other one wants to follow the order, and so it's like, I can't do it, boss, but I'll shoot that one. So this one over here is going to follow orders and shoot at you. Even though you're in that person's face, you're protecting your friend, so your friend's going to be a little bit harder to hit. As number 4 fires that crossbow, and it might break your bless, but gets only a 6, which is plenty. By moving around, it hits the wall above you. You're safe. So number 4 is done. This one has been ordered to come over, and comes up and says, "Let me through." to number 8. Let me through. I'll shoot that one. I'll shoot that one if I can't come through. He gives you a choice. Either he's going to stay here and shoot at this one, or he's going to follow the orders to stand over here.
I think in the midst of combat, I'm hardly going to let one pass.
Okay. So he says, "Now, fuck you." He shoots at you instead. All right. So he backs off with a 22. I think he hits you.
Oh.
You get hit for 6 damage. All right, that one's gone. This one's gone. This one over here, it says, "Oh, what about me?" It says, "You get over here." And he says, "This is a bad idea." He moves away, which means that you, number 5, get a free shot at him.
Okay, cool. I roll.
His orders are orders, he says. He moves away.
20 or 6?
Roll a d20.
D20?
Yep, if you have bless, I'm not sure if you have bless, but
I got a 6.
Okay, with 6, no, so you miss. He also moves past number 9, so you get a free shot as he moves into position. So as he moves out of your range, basically, you get a shot at him.
Oh, that's a
Ooh, yeah, roll your damage. Whack, whack.
No, your damage is
Yep, your damage is
2d6.
there. Yeah, so take
Those
2 of
two?
those and add those together.
Okay.
And you'll add
Plus
another.
2.
Oh, 7.
Yep,
9.
7 plus 9 kills this one. This one is off the board. All right. Ooh, things are getting a little
They're
thin.
going to join the ranks to kill us.
Well,
later.
I do recycle chips if there's
Oh,
more,
yeah.
but you're killing. This is all happening like every 6 seconds. So for somebody to run all the way down the tunnel, yeah, you're staying on top of it. You're doing a very good job. You're getting rid of the enemies very quickly. Okay. All right. So this one over here. It's already shot. Okay, all 3 have done. Yes, now you've got a few. I'm going to sort of randomize because, of course, this determines what target they go after, in case you have to figure that out. Okay, so, but they're being blocked by you. They can't come in. Of course, that may be a problem for you. So this one wants to go for somebody else.
Only one can hit you at a time.
That's
because
right.
the
Yeah,
others-
this
the
one's
others are
stuck
blocked.
here, and this one's stuck here. All right, so a few more are coming in.
Lined up behind me.
That's right, exactly. It's a cue. They're like, let me out of it. But that's going to be tough. So this one over here can't. I say this one. The first one surely is going to take a shot at you because you're blocking the way. So with a slash of its dagger, will it hit you and will it get rid of that block? With the 22, I'm afraid that it hits you with the dagger.
Oh, no.
Good thing
All
with that
right,
magic
this is going to be
potion, I
fun.
think.
We need some people.
4 piercing
Oh,
damage.
I
Are
only
you-
have 1 hit point left.
Oh, still alive. All
You got
right.
the potion though,
I
though.
do.
Okay, yes, that takes an action, so instead of an attack, you can chug that potion, or somebody else can pour a potion down that one's throat. This one here is going to try to fire, but it's going to try to fire at yellow, at you, but it's very hard. I say it has a very limited range, so I say it's just going to randomly pick one of these 2 to fire. If it's odd, it's going to be in the back. It's odd, it's in the back, it's 10, it's going to go at you. So it's going to try to shoot, but you've got a +2 to your AC because of everything in the way, right? It's a very complicated shot. And let's see what that does. Well, 24 is a critical hit. I rolled the equivalent of a 20.
That's
A
bad.
20 always hits.
Double.
You can have a level 1 halfling farmer fire at a dragon who's guaranteed to hit. Of course, the farmer will then quickly be burned by the dragon. But you get that one moment of glory before you're burned by the dragon. This is this kobold's moment of glory for rolling a 20. Is a guaranteed hit and also does double damage. All right, here we go. 9 piercing damage.
I'm unconscious.
Oh, what an amazing shot. It was like, oh, Dee It's like, this is fantastic. It's like all the kobolds like, good shot, oh yeah.
Provided now.
Very good
Still
damage.
conscious now.
Yeah, a minus.
So,
4.
but it goes 0. So in this version of D&D, you only go down to 0. Don't worry about your negative.
Yeah.
Give yourself 0, but every time it's your turn, you have a chance of slipping closer to death. They're
Yeah.
called death saving throws. Once someone is down, I'm so glad to get the opportunity to teach this thing. So what it takes is an action. You use what's called a medicine check. If you're listed with medicine, the cleric has it. Otherwise, it's wisdom. So it's a wisdom check, but if you have medicine, use that instead. It's just a DC 10, so it's quite easy to do, but you have to use your entire action. It'll do what's called stabilize your friend here, which means that he'll remain unconscious, but until he gets actually healed. But at least he's not going to slip close to death. You have very little chance of dying. Or you can cast a healing spell. So the cleric, you have something called Cure Wounds. You have to walk up to him and touch him, and this is a matter of like how far you can walk and all those things. So we'll have to keep track of that. And it does use one of your precious spell slots, but it does a lot of healing. And if you have a potion, you could pour your potion down someone else's throat, and you'll find out whether it's a potion of healing and how much healing it does. Fun options. So remember, the first one only makes him stable but unconscious. The other ones will bring him back into the fight, but they're a bit more expensive, so to speak. Thank you for that opportunity to teach. This is an amazing shot, by the way. I'm just so, like, it's from the arrow's point of view. You see people duck, and you're like, ah, you get it right in the face.
Your judges as such as the cobalt would be.
Yeah, exactly. All right, where was I? I was so happy. Okay, this one over here. All right, so again, this brown number 5, can I shoot you again? No. This number 5 would normally go for somebody else on the board, but, this one actually is supposed to shoot at you, but I'll forgive you on this one. You're down anyway. Monsters generally go for somebody else, so I'll go for the other pair. It's like, I can do better than that, she says, as she fires at number 2, which is you. Let's see if I can get super lucky twice. Ooh, it's a 17. It's not a 20, but 17 I believe is higher than your AC.
Yeah.
But you had your
bonus
bless as well.
I do have bless.
That only adds to your outgoing ability. But your armor class is a little higher because again he's shooting through something. So your AC is normally what? 14. So
16.
all the combination is 16,
Still
but
a
he
hit.
rolled a 17. Still a hit. 6 piercing damage against you.
Joey.
Oh yeah, you're down a little bit low as well.
On fire right there.
Okay. All right, we're gonna keep going around. That was my turn. We'll start with you, and we're doing fine on time. So we always end at 9, by the way. So we have a hard stop at 9. So we're getting near the pointy end, but this combat will be wrapped up by then.
Do I have clear enough shot to try and attack this guy? If I can come over?
Yep.
'Cause I am...
Yeah, the goblin. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. You can step over here with no danger, and
Yeah.
and you can fire you
Okay.
can hit diagonally with your sword if you like.
Yeah.
You're not using your bow. I assume you're gonna chop with your sword. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Go for it. All right. Go after the boss.
I get a 5. Only a 5.
A 5.
Wait, do I get an advantage?
I don't think so. No, it'd be a 5 plus something. So so 5 plus 4. So it's a 9 of total. That's close enough that he decides to use his kobold friend, or his nearly dead kobold friend. You don't think you would hit him anyway, but he picks up the kobold, and the kobold gets hit. But at least, so you've basically ended up killing a kobold instead of him. And now again, he is defenseless. Also, this move that he does is called a reaction. You realize he can only do it once per round. So even if he had more kobolds around him, this is the one trick per round sort of thing. So you've whittled down his defenses. You.
Right.
Now remember, you've got some people who are dying unstable. You've got many
like
things going
myself,
on.
Yes.
Yeah.
So with 1 hit point left, so I might
Oh, you have your
use
bonus
that potion.
Okay. Remember,
Definitely.
have you used your second wind? So this
No, I
warrior.
haven't used
Yep.
that.
So you use a bonus action. You don't have to give up your attack.
Oh, okay.
It's called
So
a second wind. I
so
would
I can
advise
do the
that.
attack
Warriors
first
can
and
do
then
that to
the second
themselves. Yeah, you might as well do your second wind now because
Okay,
the attack might go
1d10.
terribly wrong.
Plus 1.
Yep. So 1d10. If you just hand over, I think you had a d10. No. Sorry, I must have taken it away from you. That's all right. I'll
Yeah,
give
it
this
wasn't-
to you.
I
It
don't know
was
where
over
it's
there.
gone.
It was over there. And d10s. Here we go. Hold on to that, and eventually you'll have your own sets of dice and all that stuff.
Oh, big 1.
All right, so 2. So you get 2 hit points back. Oh well, but you can still do your attack. You are 6, 7, 8. You are over here.
Yeah, yes. So I'll
In the
take
middle of the action.
the boss goblin
Ah,
with
sorry.
my great sword.
Yes, with your action, you can say you can still drink the potion. So yeah, you did your second win. You
okay.
can drink the potion instead of
Right.
attack. You can do one or the other.
Ooh, what's in the
Yes. So let's see
Actually,
the
you
potion.
know,
The
with only
shiny
3 hit
red
points left and
potion.
a kobold behind me and a
Yeah.
goblin in front of me.
Yeah.
You need it.
Feeling like I'd like to spit
Yeah,
that
you're the cork
potion.
in the bottle. Like you're
Yeah.
stopping these others from
So the
firing. You're
healing potion, I think.
okay. You drink the potion.
The whole bottle?
I actually haven't
Fine.
decided whether, I
I'm
like to
having
keep
trouble
things
with the
random.
kick
Yeah,
flop. That's the only
exactly.
problem. The heat of battle.
The higher I roll, the worse it is for you back here. It's fine. It's a healing potion.
Oh.
Hey!
Would the potions be different things?
Oh well, sometimes I like to keep things a little bit spicy. So it does 3, 5, 7 points of healing to you.
Excellent.
But it's drained. It's gone. It's an empty bottle. It's not useful for anything anymore. Okay.
Bottle at someone, gets it and die.
All right.
Okay,
That
feeling
was
good.
Yeah. Now you can change your position, but if you move very far, things get free attacks against you, and you are a stopper in the bottle right
Yeah,
now.
no,
so.
I'll
All right. Very
Stay there,
brave.
holding
Good
that
warrior
forward.
roll. Next is you.
You're blocking this one on the right, aren't you? What's your health like at the moment?
Full, almost full.
Almost full?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna leave you.
You're right, mate.
I'm going to step out into the open.
Yeah, number 7, yep.
You're kindly blocking pretty much everything.
Yeah,
else.
you can go through your friends. Don't worry about that. Yeah, you can go through your friends for free.
I've got a
Maybe.
wide backside. So
Yeah.
really just
And where would you like to go?
Yeah, just out a little bit into the open, not
Yeah,
directly into the
Sure.
middle.
And what's your target? What's the next thing you're going to be?
The big boss guy.
Okay, and you're going to shoot at him?
Yeah, I'm going to shoot at him.
Okay,
I don't
very
get
good.
close.
Very good. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. How about there?
How about where am I?
How about
oh,
there?
Yeah, that's
yeah.
good.
Good. Okay. Yeah, you're gonna step over so you're not shooting through your friend. So
Yes,
we'll and you don't want to be in this line. Let's say you move over here.
That sounds
Nice
good.
free
That's
line,
nice.
and you're out of the line of this one. I'll do
Yeah,
some
that's
tactics for you. Fire your bow at the boss, who now is defenseless and has been scratched up pretty badly.
I got a 17.
17 is enough, just enough. The boss
It's a hit.
raises his shield, his last defense, and it just chips a little piece off the shield and bounces upward like into his cheek. And roll your damage. Now, you can do sneak attack damage because of you. Because you are there, you enable the sneak attack damage of the rogue. Rogues can do extra damage called sneak attack damage on top of the regular attack under 2 conditions. If you're hiding and you surprise someone or you have advantage for some other reason, that will trigger it. Or if an ally is standing next to it because basically this person is distracted and you hit them in a vulnerable spot. So your normal damage is a d6 plus something, but the sneak attack adds another d6. So maybe you borrow somebody else's. Make sure you're sanitizing your hands after touching each other's dice. Roll both 6s together.
1,
1,
5,
5, and then plus
8.
whatever. 8? All right, 8. Badly damages him. It does not kill him, however. He is very close to death. His cheek is torn open. The arrow is still like sticking like through his cheek, and he can't really bite down properly. But he seems to be barely alive and enraged. Oh, he's sort of, you're gonna regret that, he says to you. Next is you.
I still do it. So, am I still like doing bless?
Yes, so this is it. You can it keeps going for free. Yeah, everybody with bless, remember to roll that when you're doing an attack or saving throw.
So, what can I do then?
You can cast a Sacred Flame, which will make the boss jump with fire. You can attack. You can fire. You can use your javelin or something like that. You have a few options.
What's thaumaturgy?
Thaumaturgy is more think like sort of like a magic trick to impress kind of kids and villagers and stuff. It's a cantrip. You can cast it all day for free, but it does only harmless sensory effects. It's not going to be great in combat. People are too much on their guard. It's great between combat more, in my opinion.
Yeah, then I'll try Sacred Flame.
Yeah, so Sacred Flame is a cantrip, so those of you who cast it, you can cast it any number of times. It's pretty good damage. The great thing about Sacred Flame is that they have to do a saving throw. So, you pray to your god. I want you to decide at some point what kind of god. This depends on, you'll eventually be able to read. You have a default god there, which gives you sort of like a life and all that stuff, but you can change that later on. But this is obviously probably a good god that you're praying to, or at least one that's on your side. And we're going to look up saving throw. I would like to roll saving throws openly because they tend to be so important. The dexterity, can you pass me your sheet?
Yeah.
I'll read this out because this is going to apply to everybody. All right, yep. So, bless, yeah. Sorry, Sacred Flame, yes, they have to do a dexterity, so he has to jump out of the way versus 13. So I have to make a 13, and I'm going to add my dexterity bonus as the goblin boss. The reason it's 13, again, has to do with stats. The more wise you are, the higher that number gets, and also the higher level you are. So 13 is the magic number. I'm going to look up how wise this thing is, and I won't tell you the number, but you'll see. I'm looking for a 13. A 5, I'm going to do my math. Well, it's obviously a lot lower than 13 because this is not a super wise person. You do your damage. Flame, does your flame kind of wholly come down from above? Does it come up from below? What's your holy flame look like?
I'm gonna say probably comes up from below.
All right,
Like
yes.
vines.
Yeah, okay, good. Go sort of like a natural sort of thing, yeah? Like flaming vines. Fantastic, I like that mental image. Roll a d8, please. And that's the damage you do to the boss.
8.
8 damage. It goes up around him. This blinding flash, like all of you have to kind of close your eyes. When we look back, there's just like pieces of his charred body falling into a pile as the vines retreat, and he is dead. Very good. All right. The kobolds are like, ah! They're like, get out, get out, get out! So they all intend to run away. Now, we're going to continue on their turn. They're obviously going to all leave. You've sincerely, now maybe they're deceiving you, and if they do, I'll roll a die just to see where they are. But it seems like they sincerely want to get FO, right? So, that was your turn. Very good. we're going to wait until the kobold's turn. You can decide let's execute the kobolds or show mercy to them or something like that. All these things have various effects and consequences. What do you do?
Sorry.
That's fine. You're here.
Let's see. Yeah. What I'm gonna do is I might actually hide in front of the kobolds.
Yep.
That's what I want to do.
Yep.
So then, if we do decide to attack them, I can get an advantage.
Very good. Halflings normally be hard to hide because you need to be fully covered. You need to be totally hidden from view by darkness or bushes or a wall or something. But halflings have a special ability. As long as they have somebody big next to them, normal size, you can sort of hide and then you creep out. So you see this halfling get down really small right behind you, and then sort of crawling, squatting in this dim light. If you weren't looking for this particular halfling, you might be able to fool. So what you'll do is I will roll your stealth for you because most DMs do it the other way, but I like it to be a secret. What is your stealth bonus that's listed there?
Let's see. This is his stealth.
Yep, it's on your skill list. Yeah. You're there. So that big box. Yeah.
+7.
Okay, so I've added 7 to what I've rolled here. This is their chance of seeing you. Where do you want to go? What position do you want to be in, assuming you're invisible to them?
I probably want to be right in front of 6.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Right over here.
Oh, is that 6 or is that
Yep.
9?
Number 9. Yep. This number is upside down.
Yeah, there.
See right there?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll flip you over to remind that you're trying to be hidden. Okay, the kobolds do not seem to be looking at you. They seem to be worried about other things. So you're getting ready to attack in position in case things go south. Nice choice. What do you do?
I am just going to take my warhammer to the kobold that I'll be blocking.
Yeah, he's like, I'm running. It's like, oh no, you're not. Go ahead and take a swing.
God is a vengeful kobold.
That's right, good.
I have bless. Okay, +4, so 13.
Okay, with a 13, yep, you hit. Roll your damage.
So I get 8 points of damage to the kobold.
It gets completely crushed. It's just smashed into a pile on the floor. And all the other kobolds like, ah! Oh, sorry, I killed you. He killed him. Killed himself.
I beat him so hard, I died.
Okay, next is you.
Well.
Can I move actually?
Yep.
As well?
Yeah, you can move. Sure.
Can I move up to whoever's blocking all the other kobolds to come in? Right next to the left.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
You just nudge his body over.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you can even, yeah, exactly, that's fine. I have a bit of a house rule because otherwise just do dickery. You can actually kind of voluntarily get pushed out of the way. You can use one of your movement to move somebody else. If you wanted to be there, you can, but otherwise.
I'd be happy to do that.
You want to switch places there?
All right.
Okay, so you go there.
Tag.
All right, yeah, exactly, okay. So yeah, he's like, oh, he's like splattered one, blood dripping from your hands, like, ah, your neck. Cole's like, ah!
I'm angry.
Okay, next is you.
Okay, so a couple of options. So you used magic missile before, and that's got 3 darts. Do they all hit the same target?
No, you actually can decide one at a time. So you do
Okay.
dart 1, dart 2, dart 3, and you can change targets in between. It's quite
Okay.
nice.
So I could potentially wipe out some of those ones. I've got right there.
Yep.
Or the other option is, really just slowing them down, which isn't really going to help that much.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to cast magic missile.
Okay, let's go for maybe this one, number 3. Yeah.
Yep.
Magic missile. Okay, so roll a d4 and add 1. 2. This one is wounded. Another magic missile will finish it off. You want to do another magic missile? Yeah. Okay, roll just for fun. Yeah, that one is killed. You have a 3rd magic missile. You can go for you can go for the one in the very back if you want. A magic missile can hit anything that you can see, but this is probably the only one you can practically see because you're number 3. Okay. Ah, kills that one. That's enough for the dog. They have 5 hit points each. Good job. Bam, bam, bam. Slaughtering these. Okay, I'm updating my note here. Everybody's killing everybody. This is awesome. Okay. All right, this is good. Next is you.
Not much to do now, isn't there?
Yeah. I mean, we're very near the
I have
end.
a feeling we're not going to be able to get out that way.
Mm.
So I'm gonna investigate that trapdoor. I'm gonna go up to that dwarf.
Sure. Yeah. Sometimes during combat, as long as your friends aren't in danger, it's a very effective time to like really have a big effect because everybody's all charged up, and so that that dwarf is might be more influenceable.
What's
What
he
do
about now that everyone's dead?
you've noticed that those of you who have high insight, in particular high wisdom, you've kind of kept an eye on him just to make sure he's not dangerous. And every time somebody got killed, you saw him just sort of flinch, like there's some sort of, it seems to disturb him when he sees things being killed. And he has a warhammer himself. He hasn't been wielding it, but he sort of reaches for his hammer and he just kind of shakes a bit. There's something kind of psychologically happening to this ghost when he's seeing this violence. It might give you a clue. But you can use your action to try to influence, like, what do you want to have happen? What do you want the dwarf to do?
I want him to see, because all those other doors needed to have this little combination thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So either trapdoor's locked, like just with a key, or it's a combination thing, and he might be a better one. He can open it then.
Okay. So you can try to convince him, like, hey, open up that trap door for me, or you can try to just do it yourself. You haven't seen very much. It'd be pretty much a wild guess if you want to do it yourself.
I'll give it a shot.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So he's as you start doing, it's like, oh, not allowed. Jailbreak, help! He's doing all this. Well, as he does, he looks around and he says, "You're strong," he says. As you're doing it, though, he sort of crosses his arms and watches you sort of dubiously. He says, "Give it a try." So you're going to do an intelligence check. This is basically how much have you sort of noticed about what's going on. This is technically investigation, which I don't think you have trained. So you guess based on your intelligence. Perception would be, it's more like seeing details. This is more like the logic of how they turn. So it's more of a logic puzzle than just sort of seeing things. That's my call. But I like the fact you mentioned perception. Sometimes I'd say yes to that. In this case, I'm not so sure. Roll intelligence.
Plus your bless.
Plus your bless. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Plus your bless.
Because getting 10, okay.
So
4,
8, 9.
9, okay, that's not quite enough. Yeah, he's really like, this is not your strong suit. You're a fighter, you haven't been developing all the things I've lost. Yeah, you do it, and the dwarf says, "I'm Torg. I know combination. Door for the strong. You strong. Join us. Treasure below. Riches, power below. Join us and be strong," as he points down. So you have an idea that you've been invited, and this will be for next session. Now you know that one of your options next time is to take Torg up on his offer to go down through this trap door. At the end of the session, I will recap all of your options. This is basically a story hook that got opened up thanks to your interaction with Torg. You didn't open the trap door yourself, but at least you figured out what it took. Second to last move before we wrap it up.
So did you get that from failing the roll?
Got that by engaging with Torg after the combat was over. Before Torg, was pretty much busy, but as the fight went on, Torg was being very affected, and as you slaughter, you could basically see that Torg was getting quite impressed with you. So I think that you strong. He has a much more respectful look on his face, and before he's just very dismissive.
So is there any point still to investigating?
Well, he's a ghost.
Yeah, he's a ghost.
Yeah, is he inviting us to join us in the dead?
One thing you could do, for example, you could do a religion check, which you actually know something about, right? Yeah. So if you do a religion check, I could tell you all what you know about ghosts.
Alright.
Yeah,
I'll do a
that could be
religion
useful
check.
for everybody. Okay, do a religion check. Yeah, what's up? What's the deal with ghosts? So go ahead and roll a religion check.
Tell me about them ghosts.
Tell me about them ghosties.
12.
Okay, 12. So the higher you get, the more information you get. But once you get 10, you definitely get the basics. Okay. So, ghosts. First of all, everybody knows about ghosts. They're not entirely physical. They can move through physical objects. They can move up and down through the floor, for example. They can move through you. They can choose to be solid, or they can choose to be what's called ethereal, right? And when they're ethereal, they can choose to be visible or invisible. So you know that. God, there's something really important about ghosts that I can't quite remember. Another thing about ghosts, though, they tend to be obsessed. The reason that ghosts are here is they have unfinished business on the material plane. Usually when you die, your soul is kind of pulled at in a bunch of different directions. All the different deities of the entire multiverse, they're all in different planes of existence. This is just the material plane, and they consider this place the most boring plane in the whole multiverse. It's like, oh, material plane is full of like grass and cows and things. It's like, who cares? There's a plane of fire and a plane of iron, and you've got hell, and you've got heavens, and you've got all this other stuff. And these deities exist in all these different planes. when you die, all these deities have a bit of a magnetic draw to you, and it's based on your actions. This is called alignment. Alignment is written on your character sheets at the top, but that's just because Wizards of the Coast filled in by default. Just like your backstory, you can change that. And I'm the kind of DM that says, you don't really choose your alignment to determine what you do. I say your alignment is a reflection of what you've already done, right? So I say, well, I consider your alignment is now this based on your actions. So you can consider your alignment pretty much blank right now, as far as I'm concerned. I'd say that you're all trending to be pretty good because you've been looking out for each other. But, also you've been quite bloodthirsty, killed retreating kobolds, which is not evil necessarily, but, so some deities might be interested in you because of that. A ghost is a soul that has something tethering it to the material plane. It can't move on. And usually it's obsessed about one particular wrong thing that happened, a question it can't answer, a mystery it can't solve, and it tends to just kind of be in a loop. It's very hard to get off his track. And what you've already seen of Torg, you can only guess what Torg's mission is. But you've just seen him basically being a good soldier and following orders very strictly. And as we go on, you might decide, we're all going to decide to investigate Torg a little bit by talking to Torg and figure out what is keeping Torg here. You know that when a ghost solves its mission or has the mission solved for it, it tends to disappear and then finally goes to the afterlife. But Torg is not here, or Torg is not moving on. That's what you know about ghosts. I think because you got a 12, they can be very dangerous. Even though this ghost has not struck anybody, you know that a ghost who is mad at you, or if you're a threat to the ghost, it can do quite a lot of damage. You're supposed to be quite scared of them. That's what you know about ghosts. Last turn of the game before we wrap it up.
Saving throw, isn't it? I'm unconscious.
Nobody rescued him!
Oh, forget about that. We had like nothing
You have
to
so
do
many
with
dice
it.
to figure out. You must be okay.
Yeah, we had nothing to do with it.
You've been so quiet. Of course, if you're unconscious, you're naturally quiet. Yeah, over here, like spurt, spurt, spurt.
I'm over here like, what a ghost.
Oh, yeah.
I knew somebody was down.
Oh, look, there's 2 ghosts now.
His blood's just all over.
So,
I don't have to wait for him to wait. The door will just float.
So I get to teach you about a death saving throw, or yes, a death save. I'll have to look it up later. I don't think bless actually counts. I don't think like being a bard. I think it's a straight like nobody cares what your numbers. It's just a pure D20. Before you roll, if it's a 10 or higher, then so low is bad, right? Yeah. So if a 10 or higher, good things happen. 9 or lower, bad things happen. And I'll describe which.
Before we roll, could I give him my healing potion thing? Would that help? Or?
On your turn, you could have, but you
Oh.
didn't think of it, did you?
Yeah,
No, you lost track of your mate. Go ahead. A 3.
Oh.
You slip a step closer to death. So the good news is, once you fail 3 times, you are dead.
That's right.
And at level 1, there's no way to get you back. So there's a little thing called death saving throws here. Put a little check on failures. I'm going to say not everybody can do CPR at the same time. Who is trained in medicine?
Yep.
Okay. First, you run over. No, you don't have to. You can just let him die. You can let him die.
No, he's.
You can start looting the room instead, or are you going to help your dying friend? Yeah, it's up to you. Can help. Okay, so you run over. You do a medicine check, try to stabilize him, or you can cast a healing spell, which will bring him up. But of course, they'll be using one of your few healing spells.
I've already cast Bless today, so I'll save just in case.
All right.
I'll
Yep.
try medicine.
That made it worse.
An 8. Okay. The next faster cleric is your turn, cleric. You try to do the same, or you can let him die. Do you want to let him die? You can loot the room. You can talk to the ghost some more.
I'll move over to them.
Okay, fine. Yeah, I will do position. Don't worry about position. This is
And I get
we're talking.
I'm going to do a medicine check.
Yep, medicine
Get
check.
My bless on that as well.
Yes, very true. Yeah,
Cool.
very good point.
I get and medicine plus 5, so 13.
Yes, there's only a 10. It's quite easy to stabilize someone. You are okay. Unconscious, but okay. An unconscious person wakes up in 1 to 4 hours with 1 hit point. So, at some point you probably, but then you can do what's called a short rest, and you can then spend your hit dice.
Yep.
But we'll take that next time. You're going to have somebody come back. I'll make a note of that.
Being an elf, I can do it. I can do it
Okay.
fairly quickly.
So elf, unco, not stabilized. All right.
Got of that.
Unless one of you says, no, somebody wants to spend a spell or a healing potion right away to have this be a sure thing. Otherwise, we'll start off that way.
Oh,
Yep.
never mind.
Yeah? Okay, very good.
Better
All
off
right.
Better off using a spell than a potion. That might come in handy later.
I don't have spells.
Shush, you're dead. It's your choice.
Yes, what's the nap?
What do you mean by better off using a spell than a potion? What do you mean?
Well, they're going to rest anyway.
The spell's
You
really
know what,
hard
but,
to rest.
well, long rest would bring back all the spells.
Oh,
So you're at the
so
beginning of the
you're
day. You
gonna
just
have
woke up. You can't take a long rest. How lazy are you?
Okay.
You got a whole day ahead of you, right?
Yeah,
So you can do
take a
short
rest.
rests in between, right? So you'll be able to do short rests and you'll be able to spend your hit die. So you get some hit points back, but I'll tell you about this. So he'll roll a 1d8 and add his constitution bonus. That's how many hit points he'll get back if you rest for an hour. That's the one time you can do it during the day. But you're right. Potions, are really great last minute emergencies. But you can't do this until you wake up. So for the next 4 hours, you're extremely vulnerable. If anything comes by and does damage to you or a new attack breaks out, you could be back in trouble again. If you take any damage, you start to death
Yeah, we
saving throw.
can't be lugging his body around.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. Otherwise, you're stuck here.
And
Okay?
what would it
So let's
take
send
to
them.
kill him? Like one
Healing spell,
slashing?
yeah, even 1 point of healing, but of course,
to kill him. Though.
to kill
What
him,
would it take
as soon as
to
he
kill
takes any
Immune
damage,
attack.
he immediately gets another, this gets erased, you can erase that. But as soon as he gets a damage, he'll then have an automatic failure and he'll start rolling dice again.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll give him my potion.
Okay,
I don't
you
want-
go.
We don't want
You're
to
a
lug him
champ.
around.
Very good, all right, great. So, please cross that off, you no longer have that potion. Very good, warrior.
Do we get to keep the empty potion bottle?
You can write it down if you like. Yeah, sure. Yep. Yeah, maybe you can use it to fake someone out. I don't know. Once it doesn't have its juice, it starts to look more ordinary. Like it's not quite so shiny and clean anymore once it's been drained. But still pretty good. Okay. Well, thank you everybody. As you see,
How much did it heal me?
let's do that. It is 3 plus 4 is 7 plus another 2 and 9 hit points. So you go from 0 to 9. So you have 9 hit points
9.
exactly. Good job. That was good teamwork, everybody. So you see how this is just the beginning. Now, keep in mind that I know this is quite slow and there's a lot of people. It's very natural for people, it's totally okay. You might play a session or two with me and then say like, okay, I got the idea. I'm ready to go to like the Netherworld introduction to D&D, but at least I don't feel like a total chump, right? Because some people are they're embarrassed. Or I've got friends that I want to play with, but I didn't know what a D20 was. So I'm not offended. I believe in open D&D relationships. It's fine for you to go play with other people or keep coming with me. That's great as well. But this group, one way or the other, will start to boil down. Typically, it gets to within 3 or 4 sessions, we're down to 6 people, which is more of a typical size. The sweet spot is like 4 or 5 is a great size for D&D. So I'm not trying to scare anyone off. We can keep up with a large set, and all the scenarios I have are large group friendly. But just keep in mind, this will go faster. So if right now you're saying like, I like D&D, but it's really slow, it does speed up. I'm being very much a teaching sort of thing. So it's your choice, but hopefully you'll come back. I hope you do. Let me just give a little bit of business here at the end. Resolution. So at 9 o'clock you can leave, so don't let me stop you. But one of the things that you'll do is loot and get XP. So all of you have killed several kobolds. I'd say the kobolds some kobolds ran away, but at the end of the day, here's how many silver pieces you get. Everybody either have or grab a D4 and roll that for yourself. That's how many silver pieces you find by getting things off of the kobolds.
Cool.
All right, so whatever you rolled, write that down as SP. They just have little bags of silver
How do you
pieces.
know what's on
Is
the...
it top one?
Oh, shit.
Yeah, help each other. D4 is really weird.
So 2 with a 1.
Sometimes on the bottom, sometimes on the top.
Yeah, depending on the make, yeah. There's no good way to do numbers on a D4, apparently.
7.
No,
SP.
not 1.
Thank you.
What was that? A silver piece, was it?
Oh,
Yep.
am I supposed to be counting arrows?
Nah, don't worry about it. I only do that if you're like on some sort of death march or you're way underground and no chance of ever buying anything, so don't worry about it. Okay.
Can I add that to those other silver pieces, or are
Yeah,
they different silver pieces? The ones I've got from that black
Many, they all have
pouch?
different vintages. I've made a note about your devil pieces, if they're devil pieces. If they're devil pieces, I've made a note about your devil pieces.
Don't worry.
It's gonna be like 5 years later. So, the devil pieces!
It's slowly making you really
Remember those devil pieces?
When you were talking about it, I was already grabbing the dice.
Otherwise, just add them all together.
Something's going to happen here.
Okay.
And what about XP? What have we done?
Yep. All of you get 100 XP. So on your card, you just write like 50 plus 100, or you can cross it out and make it 150. Some of you put little notes, like just put down like, like Kobold Jail. You can write that if you want to remember why you got that, in case you're afraid of forgetting it or whatever else. It's up to you. Again, try to take pictures of your thing. So you can, when you're done, put your character sheet and your player card in here. I never take anything out of here, so if it's not in here, it's not my fault. So, or you can take it with you. In either case, I suggest you take pictures of them once in a while because, again, if you lose your character sheet, you have to lose all of your items. You won't lose all of your XP, but it's a hassle. We still have a little bit of business still to go, but that's good. You got your XP. But special trophies. The dead, shriveled, vine, scorch mark covered goblin boss had those torture implements. They're like long needles and little saws and pinchers and things, right? But they're mostly needles. A quite large number of torture needles. You can, if you wish, if you're the type of person who likes to have some sort of wicked looking torture needle with you, you can choose to either have one or not. If you choose to take, say, write down on your sheet, goblin torture needle. It's bloody and wicked looking.
I'll take one.
But if you choose, go ahead and take it.
Yeah, I'm down for one too.
All right, write it down if you want to have that one.
Was it needles?
You don't know. It's a needle. You can use it to torture someone very slowly because you have only one. Goblin
Get in
torture
someone's
needle.
eye?
Sure.
Show that
D&D.
I
Everything's
don't want
possible.
them to
Yeah.
be threatening with it.
Yeah.
I think it's
Wait until a
good to
cop
know.
finds one with on you. That's the fun part. When you get arrested, like, what's this? All right. I've done that. Now, as you're looting the corpse, you're all sort of basically around here. Something you see that there's something around the neck. This has very sort of fat rolls and muscular neck around the goblin boss, and something kind of gets revealed as Deadhead sort of lolls over. It is a necklace. It's got an iron chain. The iron chain is threaded through with these little dangly bits. They are fingertips. Dead, rotten fingertips with the chains going through, like sort of ornaments hanging around it. There's only one necklace of fingertips. All of you can, whoever wants a necklace of fingertips, it's a matter of like whoever grabs it first, right? Or you'll gamble for it. But only people want, like, I don't know.
Does it look expensive?
No, it looks like, yeah. And it doesn't look
What about
all
the
that edible
chain?
either. They're very, some have been dead and mummified for a long time.
grab it.
A couple are fresh, right? All of you who wish to enter a little gambling contest for the necklace of fingertips, raise your hand. Or roll a d20. Okay, roll a d20 if you want to have a contest for it. And then whoever's got the highest is the one that the dice have
Not
decided you get it.
12.
16.
All right, congratulations! You have a necklace of fingertips.
Necklace of fingers.
That is the rogue. Okay,
As a
great.
piece of jewelry I do not want.
I was going to say, could we take the fingers off and have the chain? Is the chain okay?
Oh, the chains might worth a few copper pieces. It's a
Ah,
cheap
never
chain.
mind then.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Let me give it to a goblin later if we get captured.
I did this to the last one.
Summarize a bit of sort of what we learned. So you know something about that this ghost, has got some sort of mission. You know that you've been thrown in this jail, and you know the kobolds are down this tunnel. You have the choice to go down the trap door. You also, let's just hand wave this part, that some of the more brave or sneaky of you sneak down the tunnel, say like, what's down there? And let's not roll that out because, with enough time and care, let's say you just succeed. The kobolds are all shit scared. They've run back behind, and you can see there's a portcullis down this winding tunnel. It's got some branches and cracks you can't fit through. You suspect there's probably secret passages. The kobolds have all kinds of secret passages. But there's a big main gate, and that's the one that you're being whipped through and the one that you heard the screaming. You don't hear the screaming anymore, but you hear the clashing of machinery, and you see a large machine shop, and there's a couple dozen kobolds there. They don't all look like warriors. A lot of them look like workers, but the kobolds are all there, and they're working these large machinery. Imagine like an auto shop or a factory of some sort. All those machines have been dumped outside the cave. You see that those same kind of machines are now inside that machine shop behind the portcullis, but they're in the process of being disassembled. So now they're being separated into springs, wires, gears, struts, tubes, and things like that. And they're being put on all these various benches and things. And kobolds are welding and using like magic and some sort of mechanical power source to weld things together and hammer things together. And they're reassembling them into stuff you can't quite make out, but they seem to be making new kinds of machines out of these spare parts. You see that there's, again, these numerous kobolds back there. You can see some of them are very wounded, and they're like, they're talking to the other ones. They're terrified. They're jabbering away. Maybe you can overhear them. And they're talking about you and whether you're going to attack and whether they should attack you first and who are they and what's happening and why is the goblin really dead and all those things. You see in this machine shop, there's this high, hanging like from struts from the ceiling, is a high sort of nest shape, so like a metallic nest, a platform. And peeking over the edge, you just see very much in darkness, you see a kobold face with a burned rectangle over his eye, their eyes, I can't remember the pronoun right now, burned over their eyes, and they have wings, which is unusual for a kobold, and seems to be, doesn't see you, but is watching the machine shop, seems to be a supervisor of some sort. There's another door beyond, so there's another doorway out, there's actually 2 doorways out, and all that. But the corridor moves beyond, and you can see a glimmer of sunlight. This must be where you come in. So, this comes to the last thing that I'll describe, and if you stay maybe a little past 9, you'll be able to take a vote, or we'll do this real quick. You have a few ways to go. Now, I make this more like a choose your own adventure when there's this many people. I'll say just please pick one of these 3 things, but later on this will be looser. You'll be able to debate and come up with a 4th crazy thing that I didn't think of. So I want you to help determine what's the next session about, because it's hard for me to keep it so open-ended. I want you to kind of commit to what is the next session about. There's plenty of choice and craziness that'll happen no matter what you choose. All right, one has to do with this ghost. This is the ghost with the red emblems who talked about going down, join us, get power, get treasure for the strong. You could basically spend your next turn taking him up on that offer. And also, I'll say this is also a bit of a theme choice. You know, it's a dungeon, so it tends to have some like puzzles and maybe some traps and things. It's gonna have quite a grim storyline. You can sort of tell there's something kind of sinister and grim going on here. You're going to eventually, you know, combat will probably happen at some point, but maybe you can talk your way through certain combats. You're not sure about talking your way through this one. There might be temptations into evil, you know. You haven't really decided. You can be an evilish party or a good party. Most parties end up being good, but you might decide, you might get tempted into doing something evil depending on who you meet down there. So that's one choice. Let's call that the red choice. The next one is what I'll call the silver choice, because the last time you saw someone with these burned eyes, they're the one with that silver visor. You recognize that. But really, this is like, why is the farm machinery being brought here? Maybe what's this burned eye thing about? You know that they're talking about getting the shards. You know, I'll get the shard. Let me find the shard. So that voice is coming from back there. You see, actually, in the machine shop, after you've taken in so much, the orrery is there. That big set of bronze hoops that was described earlier. That was in the intro. This is the thing that's like a star map. It says sort of where the planets and comets are relative to the planet that we're on. So it's a bit of an instrument. It's sitting there right next to a chair that's got manacles and is drenched with puddles of blood. You're guessing this is where the torture was happening. And the questions was, tell me about the blah, 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 blah. Tell me about the blah, 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 blah. Well, maybe the blah, 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 blah is this orrery, because this is where people were obviously being tortured and being questioned about this thing. So if you choose this, you'll find out more about what that's all about. And yeah, like this may have something to do with the farms to the north, right? If this might tell you something about why those goblin raids are happening. So that's option number 2, the silver one. The third, this one will have, there might be a chance for talking and arguing. You know, the kobolds, maybe you can turn them into allies, or you can intimidate them somehow. It might not be combat, or it might be combat of a different sort. So if you like that idea of sort of talking away or building allies, you can pick this one. Last one is the goblin raids. You can say, I want to get out of here. I want to get out of this cave. And let's say you can be sure of success. The kobolds are all staying far away from you. You'll be in the caves of chaos. You can go a whole bunch of different directions, but one of the most important things is, okay, let's figure out what's up with the goblins. If you do this, you might start following the goblins to the north. If you really want to get back to your farmland, this is the way you do, right? This one is going to be more combat heavy, and combat can be, have lots of story and lots of peril and lots of scenery and stuff and nature challenges and swimming rivers and swinging from vines, but it's going to be quite more action oriented. The combats will have interesting tactics and stuff like that. Also, you eventually will be quite a defender. You might end up defending a village or defending a town, so there's quite a bit of like good heroic stuff you get to do, because goblins are nasty. So that's the goblin option. So while I start cleaning up a little bit, and while you consider giving me a donation, debate with each other what that is, and if you're here by the time that's done, of course if it's 9 you have to go, then you vote. Whoever's remaining here after about 5 minutes gets to do a vote on that. That's about it.